Hello and welcome back to the Out of Mind Up podcast. This is episode 43. You are joined here with me at The Real Shicey and my good friend here at Joshua Cast. You can find us both on Twitch, on Twitter. You can find the entire podcast on both those platforms, plus Apple Podcasts, Spotify, probably Reddit if it's still working, and maybe Threads in the future. I don't know. Hence, that's what we're going to be talking about. But you can find us on all those platforms. So please feel do us a favor and subscribe to us, like us, comment, do all those good things. With that said, how are you doing, my good friend Josh?
Doing all right, especially after a long 4th of July weekend. I am surprisingly doing very well. No sicknesses, no nothing.
Good. Yeah, so like based on our previous podcast, as I mentioned, I was still um, under the effects of COVID. I would say I'm probably 95% there. Good, I still got that 5% little bit lingering in my respiratory, but nonetheless doing pretty good. So my vacation felt very extended due to that. I had my first day back out of isolation yesterday. So that's going well. And outside of that, I did have Final Fantasy 16 to accompany during my COVID isolation. So I played through that. Um, I don't. I know we kind of tabled that discussion from previously. I don't know if you've got the opportunity to finish it yet. I as well. So I don't know if you want to answer that right now. But
So, I did finish it, but I don't want
okay,
to talk about the story because there's still side quests that kind of add more to it.
okay.
Um,
I agree, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I think they did a pretty good job with making the side quests kind of their own little, dare I say, isolated stories, but obviously it's integrated with the main. So I kind of know what you're talking about there. Um, but just like spoiler free, I would say I got a little teary eyed there at the end. Not gonna lie. So it did finally captivate me a little bit, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna. I'm not gonna binge play Final Fantasy mode, but we'll see if I get to squeeze in at some point in time. So I had that to accompany me, and then back on WoW again. So I got that going for me, and I still got to squeeze in Stray at some point. I don't know when, but that's a short one, so I guess maybe it'll just be some day where I'm like somewhat bored slash finished with my WoW stuff, and then just throw
oh,
that in and get it over with.
you could easily bang straight out in the lunch break.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been told, but like, I mean, you've played it multiple times, right? Like you played through the story.
So, I platinumed the game twice on both
Mm-hmm.
PS4 and PS5.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I did two playthroughs. The first playthrough was just casual sightseeing, and the second time
Yeah.
you have to do a speed run. But then
Mm-hmm.
my third
Mm.
playthrough for PS4, because I want to go get that second platinum, I did everything all in one run. It took me 2 hours to platinum it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so like, so I guess my question to that response is your first exploration route. Like, how many hours did that take? Did it still take you like 5 to 7?
So I would say, well, for me, it took me 6 hours, but I
Okay.
was I was like truly sightseeing. I was looking around the
Yeah.
world, checking all like the little
Mm-hmm.
nooks and crannies, seeing everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but if you don't do that, it'll easily take you 4 or 5. If you're doing like a casual, not sightseeing playthrough.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, with that said, maybe not a lunch break, but pretty similar to that. Other than that, it's been a weirdish week. Like I said, dealing with the ailments and kind of isolation sucks. I mean, even if you are feeling decent enough to not isolate, if you're a good person, you still isolate. But so it kind of sucked being indoors all that time. But
Oh, you didn't do
um,
anything for the 4th of July?
no, I just I did enjoy a couple brewskis on my balcony, and that was fun because I got to see lots and lots of fireworks being blown up. So that was my 4th of July. So unfortunately, I didn't get to like go out with friends or anything. I said, being the good person I am, I opted to continue my isolation as doctors and physicians had instructed.
Well, that's probably a good thing. I wanted to do that. Unfortunately, I was forced to go out. But during my time going out traveling, I I had the weirdest encounter with drunken people. There
Mm.
was on two separate occasions. never in my life has this ever happened. I was driving, I was at a stop sign or a stoplight, and the car next to me was a weird old drunken white guy. And he rolls on this window. He's like, "Hey, you got smoke?" I'm like, "Nah, I ain't got smoke." He's like, "Why don't you got smoke? What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I just don't smoke." And he's like, "Well, you should pick up smoke." And I'm like, "I've never heard that one before." And then the guy next to him, like, he realized how stupid that guy was, and he like just slowly rolled up his window. And it was one of those windows where you had to like slowly crank up. And you can see the look at this guy, like the passenger was just like looking straight. He wouldn't look over to me. He was just like looking just dead center while the other guy was yelling in front of him.
Did he look like maybe his son or something, or like related to him, or friend?
I mean, who knows? I mean, he didn't look as old as the other guy, but like was
Hmm.
close-ish in age. So I'm like, maybe it could have been friend, maybe it could have been son. You don't know.
Yeah. Wow. That is pretty funny. You should have said, reply like, maybe I should.
But
Yeah,
it was just
that is
funny
quite
because
odd.
my mom was also in the car too, and my
Oh,
brother. And then after the guy rolled the window, I'm like, what does he think? 1970 smoking ain't cool anymore.
yeah, that one is a bizarre one. I'll concur with that.
But I've never heard anyone be like, "Yo, you should pick up smoking."
Yeah, yeah.
And they have, well, I'm not gonna say the same exact occurrence happened twice, but then shortly after the stop sign following it, there's another car that stopped me and asked me for a cigarette too. I'm like, I've never heard anyone ask for a cigarette in a long time, and now somehow 4th of July this year, everybody's asking for a cigarette. It was weird.
And was it also like an older white person?
No, this time it was a black guy,
Oh
also
wow,
older, and he looked drunk as well. So both drunk guys.
that is wow. That is quite ironic.
Yeah. But the second car though, it looked like he didn't need any more smokes because when somebody smokes like a lot of cigarettes or weed, their windows get dark brown like on the side mirrors and all that stuff.
Mm,
That his windows were messed up because of how much he smoked in his car. I'm like, you should probably stop your smoking.
wow. That's funny and crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I have no stories like that. I mean, with the air quality that we've been having, why would you? I mean, you're practically smoking anyway.
That was actually shocking to me. Like I don't know what happened. Like there was some kind of like weird alignment, but like after last week having horrible air quality here in Illinois,
Mhm, mhm.
4th of July just happened to be perfect day, clear skies, perfect air. I'm like, somebody wanted 4th of July to happen over here.
Yeah, and then we reaped the repercussions yesterday with all the storm that we had for messing up the air
Yeah,
on our own accord.
made it super humid. But it was just weird how like we
Yeah.
had a horrible last week with weather, and then
Hmm.
we're still suffering horrible weather. But 4th of July just happened to be perfect.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're not wrong. It was a really good, nice day. Clear skies. Yeah, really nice.
But going back to Final Fantasy, because I know we kind
Mhm.
of brushed over it quickly,
Sure.
and I know we're not going to get into story. How would you rate the game so far? I like the combat. I know a lot of people have the disagreements. For me, it's the world. I do not like how open it is. And when I say how open it is, the places that you load in are vast, but it feels empty.
I I do agree with you a little bit. It like it falls short. It doesn't fall short, but I don't think it's as bad as yours like painting it out to be. I think like they definitely missed the mark on an equilibrium, but like once again with side quests and stuff and the hunts, they kind of forced you to. You still don't scour every nook and cranny of the land, so that's why I'm agreeing with you. But like, I think they did do a good job with allowing you to revisit, and not only revisit, but then the landscape actually changes a little bit. So I think those were all good positive things. The combat, and maybe it's because I played with one of those accessories, like I said, and maybe Final Fantasy mode will be different because it's much harder. Um, Not that it felt hack and slashy to me, but you could legit play and beat the game with one hand. Just being honest, you could.
But that's only if you put the
Uh,
accessory rings on and all that stuff. Like
True,
when
true.
people complain about this game being easy, that's because you put all the accessory mods on. If
Yeah.
you take
Well,
that off, it's a completely different game.
yeah. Well, I just used one. Like like I said, I had the XP one pretty much throughout the entire game because I got that with the collector's edition, and then I had the Gil increase one, and then just the one. I think it was like the evasion assist one or something, or the dodge assist. One of those two is the one I had. So that's it. So it's not like I had all three of them. So I now kind of interested to see how all three would actually make it super 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 easy, because I have no idea what that looks like. But even with just the one, I could legit play that game with one hand. And I don't mean to say that in a sexual statement like normally how I do innuendos, but legit, like you could play and beat that game with one hand. Um, so, but once again, that's a play style choice. That's not the game's fault, right? So that's a player choice. Um, but outside of that, like story, it was so interesting because like when we talked last, right? I felt like I wasn't getting the connection to the characters as I would in like not all but damn near all Final Fantasy games, or just like maybe take it a step further in RPGs in general. So I wasn't too sure if I was making a connection, right? But towards the end, like they finally kind of got me. Um, kind of marked out a couple times, but yeah, overall, I think I was satisfied, but I'm still sticking with my analysis from last podcast where like, you know, it it's not to me a full Final Fantasy game, and maybe Final Fantasy mode there's additional experiences that help it, but for me it seems like something that's like Game of Thrones with Final Fantasy elements sprinkled into it instead of vice versa. It should have been a Final Fantasy game with Game of Thrones elements sprinkled into it. Um, so that's still my analysis, and that's not changing.
For me, the combat I love, and only because I like Devil May Cry. And I know people are, like I said, bashing it, saying it's easy, but that's because they're purposely making it easy for themselves. Once you go Final
Yeah.
Fantasy mode and you take all that stuff off, it's a real challenge.
Okay.
But
So
that's
you already started it
yeah,
on that mode? Okay.
yeah. But so if you do combat focused, no accessories, which I think one of the playthroughs you might have to do for the platinum trophy, and you Final Fantasy mode, it is if you haven't mastered dodge, you will learn dodge. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a true experience like Devil May Cry, which Devil May Cry is one of the hardest combat games. Even though people say it's a hack and slash game, but when you go to higher tiers, it truly is a dodge skill mechanic encounter. Um, but to me, the thing is like besides the story, besides the combat, I like those. It's just the world. The world didn't interest me as much as I thought it would.
I hmm like the the beauty of it I thought was good. Having the world as a character per se, I agree with you. Like it kind of was lackluster in that facet. So, but still, I thought like the one thing that I liked a lot about it, which I don't know how they do it, but like when you first started playing, especially when you get to like the more um like the areas that you could like teleport into, right? Like my fear was when I first started playing was like, oh, I could see this from a distance, but I'm not in that area. And that turned out to be false because you actually do, for the most part, not every area, but for the most part, you're able to navigate to said area, right? Like non-spoiler, but somewhat spoiler because I'm gonna mention name, but like something like Martha's Rest, right? It's like you could see from a distance, and eventually you could be in that distance, and then from there you could see something like Eastpool, and it's like, oh, I could actually get out on Chocobo and go to Eastpool. So in that regard, I liked it, and I really um, to also piggyback on your disappointment, I think, and kind of 15 had this level of disappointment too for me. You built now, okay, so those aspects of the world were really nice and really beautiful, but then you have like the unfortunate backdrops that you couldn't access, and you can only do it like in a scenario state where like pretty much all the major cities, right, like the capital areas, that I was like, man, I want to explore that, and you don't get to do that at all. So to that level, yes, that's a world disappointment.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not sure if anybody else cares, but like even when you're out in the fields and the farms, there's houses that you can't touch, you can't go into. You can go around them and basically look around the outside, but you can't go into them. Same
Another,
thing with the villages, you
another,
can't go in
yep,
them.
yep, another disappointment for sure. Yeah. Once again,
Like
really,
it
but
looked big, but it wasn't big. That I think that's
yeah,
my problem.
no. Yeah, you're right, and you're right when you're in those domains, right? But when you're on the world map looks small until you drill in, and then it's actually kind of bigger than the world map,
Yeah,
because the world map makes it look very small.
yeah.
But they also heavily, uh, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They mentioned that like that's not the only landmass. Like there's other areas that they just don't show, or I mean they talk about very vaguely, but there are other landmasses a part of this. What is it? Valesteel? Is that the name of the world? I can't remember anymore.
I forgot what
But
it is, but they do mention like what's that girl's name? The dominant of air. She mentions
oh, Garuda. Yeah,
she mentions other continents.
the
Well,
the Mughal does. I think his mom is from another area. I think technically.
it would be cool
Um,
to just see like I know people don't like to hear DLC or microtransactions, but like
mhm,
them
mhm,
expand to the world more and show like obviously we just did this faction thing. We
mhm.
sold this kingdom. Now there's another looming threat in the distance that's coming by. I'd just like
Yeah,
to see that.
I agree with you. Like I don't know. I'm not a fan of that format either. Like that's why 15 was so dreadful to me. But I guess the one thing that they maybe we both could agree here that they did successful about, like as much as we have disappointments, we still have a little bit of yearning for more, right? So I guess they did a good job at that. Um, but what they could do, I don't know. It's maybe you have like an episode where you're his dad or something, and I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
have no idea.
It's kind of weird to see Final Fantasy in this state because even like I said, there's things I liked and there's things I didn't like. But for some reason, as like a community whole, people are like really bashing this game. Like
Right.
supposedly, like in Japan or one of those Asian states, they're reporting that sales have just completely plummeted. Like the second week or third week, usually like
Mm-hmm.
scores a little higher. It
Mm-hmm.
just dropped, and this is like
Mm-hmm.
one of the lowest Square Enix has ever seen for the Final Fantasy games. And I wonder if
Interesting.
this is gonna change how they address Final Fantasy going forward.
It may very well. I mean, we'll see. It's like I said. I stand by it. Unfortunately, it just didn't feel like a Final Fantasy game. And I know like people will be like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I was like, "Well, if you played a lot more Final Fantasies, you would know." Like I said, they just there's just things that Final Fantasy has that they have in every game. Like once again, I'm just gonna use Moogles for example. There's one, unless I missed something. You know, not trying to do a spoiler alert, but
I
like
think there's
there's only
three.
one. There's three. I don't know. I've
Isn't
only
one of
saw
them like a
one.
merchant? One of them is a traveling guy that he goes around. You can actually get your fast travel points from, and there's like a third random one in the city. I thought they were all
Then
different.
then I must have missed the other two because I only knew the one in the hideaway. That's it.
It might have been the same one, but I swear those three were different.
Because his name, what was his name again? Like Kupta or something.
Oh, don't ask me. Their names are too weird to
Which
remember.
yeah, which is a pretty funny Moogle, by the way. But yeah, like there's that, and then once again, I'm sure Final Fantasy mode. I know it mentions that they have newer monsters, and I don't know if they're just strictly recolors, but I didn't encounter a Tomberry. Tomberry is very famous in Final Fantasy. Now maybe Tomberry's in Final Fantasy mode. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there's just certain things that are missing, or not. Even if they're not missing, not more widely present. And that's my unfortunate take. It like I still enjoyed the story. I thought it was really good, and maybe that's because I am also a Game of Thrones fan. I thought they did well with the use of swear words. Like maybe at some point some people would think it was more excessive. I thought they did a good job with the use of all the fucks and whatnot. um,
Do you know if there
uh,
is a special hidden boss in this game?
I mean, there might be in Final Fantasy mode. Like I said, I think.
Because I know for like other Final Fantasy games, even Kingdom Hearts is always like even if it's like a reused boss, the mechanic
Hmm.
gets significantly harder.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think I mean, obviously, I didn't 100% the game yet, so maybe it's somewhere.
Hmm.
Because I know Final Fantasy
Exactly.
7, you had that like training simulator that you had to reverse I forgot what the summon. I think they called summons in that game, There's like one extra one that popped up, but this one I
Hmm.
don't think I've seen any of them, like any like hidden boss.
I mean, I didn't either, unless like one thing I didn't do on my first playthrough. I think I hit every quest. However, I didn't collect all of like the uh the stuff that you would look at in his whatever the collectibles are. I'm still missing like two or three, so I'm like, well, how am I missing those? Like, if I did every side quest that I think, like, I have no green exclamation points on the map. So my line of thought is I did them all, and I think I got the trophy too, indicating that. So it's like, so I'm like, what am I missing? So that I don't know, and I try not to cheat online. I really try not to. And then two, I didn't do all. I forgot what they're called, but it's when you go
The
to the
obelisk and
stone.
doing the training
Yes, yes,
simulations.
yes. Yeah, I didn't do all those. I think I only did like two of them or something.
I think
Uh,
for some reason my speculation is that's where the final boss, hidden boss is.
maybe, and that's kind of that was my long-winded answer, but that's kind of what I was leading into. I was like, so I'm wondering if maybe doing all that triggers like another icon that they didn't really talk about because they did mention Leviathan, and Leviathan wasn't an icon in this game. Now I'm kind of going a little bit of spoilers, but there was a brief mention of Leviathan. I think Joshua mentioned it in the mural, and then there's other ones too. Like I thought the uh, yeah, I guess I better not talk any further because I don't want to talk about spoilers. But there was other things I was hoping would happen to bring more Final Fantasy out and didn't. So that was kind of a slight disappointment. But
So going to, I know I said it last week in last
hmm
episode that
hmm
Final Fantasy has been removed from my Game of the Year list. Has it been removed
hmm
from yours, or is it still up there?
no, no, I think it's still in the contention just because of the name. I really do. It's not
The
my
name
game of the
means
year. Mine's
nothing
still
anymore if the
Zelda.
community and the circulation isn't there.
I I mean we'll see how the rest of the year goes, but I feel like just because of the name itself. And let's see if DLC is on horizon to reinvigorate it. I think it still might be there.
Okay, so you're
But we'll
holding
see.
on to hopes. I've completely
I
dismissed it for
mean,
Game of the Year.
yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's winning it. My vote still goes to Zelda.
That's definitely not winning it. But
Dude,
I
there's
like your
still new
optimism.
stuff that there's still stuff that gets put on social media to this day about that game. Like today I saw one about a fucking elevator. Like people making elevators to go into the sky. I'm like, what?
Oh, there's always gonna be a creative thing, but like
Yeah,
the the circulation around that game is almost pretty much dead. Like if unless if you're like that tight community that you stay there for all the games,
yeah.
that's the only thing that's holding it around. The mass
Hmm.
populace has already moved on a long time ago.
No, I know what you're talking about. Like in the massive scheme of things, and Final Fantasy really is to blame for that because it kind of killed Zelda's momentum, and now it killed it in more than one way because
It killed
it also
itself.
killed itself.
Yeah,
So,
but one game that shockingly has done very well in circulation and still is doing very very well is Diablo 4.
uh-huh.
I don't know how it's doing as well as it has. Like it wasn't even on my radar as potential like contender for all these top tier games. But
Hmm.
if you look at like viewership on all platforms, YouTube, Twitch,
Hmm.
whatever,
Hmm.
it's still very high. The new
Hmm.
season's coming out. That's probably going to reinvigorate the player base, and people are still posting clips, builds, YouTube, whatever about it. I'm
Hmm.
shocked in how popular it's gotten.
I I'm shocked at its level for sure. Like I'm not shocked that it was popular, of course not, because it's like it's a Blizzard IP that's very popular. But to agree with you, like yeah, I'm a little bit shocked it's maintained this momentum. Not that it never really got shit on. Like just like any game, people are gonna criticize, but when they have like actually I think today they had some sort of like developer campfire type talk or something,
Yeah, talking about Season
and
of Malignant, the new season that's coming out in 20 something days.
something like that. So the good thing is like I don't know how much they've been listening to the community, but from my understanding, they have been taking some things into consideration and fixing them.
Oh, I'll say right
Um,
now, whoever's working on Diablo is the Blizzard A team right now. They are like taking all the criticisms. They're like obviously, doing like they're sifting through the bad ones and good ones. They're
Hmm.
implementing it. People are liking the new changes. Like recently, they upped the Nightmare Dungeon tier 4 is giving more XP, more money, and all that stuff. People are
Hmm.
loving that. Yeah,
Hmm.
they're just overall. I mean, if they hear criticism, the community is now being respectful towards it. The developers are listening and they're working quick about it,
Hmm.
and they're just developing a pleasant experience.
Yeah, and that's what's gonna assist and maintain that momentum, right? And that's kind of basically why I'm bringing it up. Like that's what you like to see, right? Especially in a game right now that has some microtransactions, but they're not. It's not heavy like Immortal. So
Yeah, and this
so
one's
yeah,
purely cosmetic. Immortal's more about, actual, like, you get benefits with it. This one's
yeah,
just like, oh, you just get cool cosmetic.
yeah, exactly. And fortunately, like I'm still unfortunately not gonna like go back and play it until maybe they do DLC, and I just want to
You're not going
experience
to
the
do Season of
DLC.
Malignant? Because that's technically DLC. There's actual going to be story changes and questline updates. Like, there's going to be a new questline introduced in that season.
Well, if they're doing that, then I probably will. But then I have to make a new character, right? I have to level a new character.
Well, so
Did they
this
finalize that yet?
this is a weird thing. So the character like class changes, you have to make a new one to experience it. But I think the quest lands and all that stuff, like the story related stuff, even if you're on the Eternal Realm, you can still experience it. You're just not gonna get the enhanced gameplay version that season 1 or 2 or whatever is gonna get. Because that's what
That
people
has
are.
me
I know.
that has me lost.
Because like the Eternal Realm means that no matter what season it is, whatever, you can still play that
Hmm.
character and it can still get that gear. It just won't have the ability tweaks that the seasons will offer, if that makes sense. Like, let's say
So you're stuck in a previous patch state, is what you're saying?
your character is, even though you
Yeah,
get the new gear. So, like, let's say if Rogue sucked now,
that's that's weird.
let's
That's
say,
so weird.
yeah, I know, but that's just how those, I guess, the realms work. But, like, let's say you're on the Eternal Realm and your Rogue
Hmm.
sucks because of the pre alpha, whatever build, and in
Hmm.
season 1, 2, 3, whatever the ability change, your Eternal Realm character, Rogue, won't get that. Only the new one
Hmm.
will.
Hmm. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah. Um. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see if that's a new story that's relevant and continuing the main story. Then maybe I will.
Well, they definitely confirmed that there is a new quest line, like a longer quest line that's being
Hmm.
introduced in Malignant, but I don't know how big it really is. They just said
Hmm.
it's a new quest line.
Like I know one thing is, and I'm not, the biggest Diablo lorist at all, but the amount of sanctuary that was given in this game is probably like a third of the entire world size, maybe give or take.
I would say a
So
quarter. Like Sanctuary is pretty big.
you think a quarter? Okay, so whatever that ratio is, though, like what I wonder is how much more of that are they going to actually implement in Diablo 4? Because I feel like they're not going to go like the WoW model and have everything eventually unlocked slash release. But who knows? That might be very cool.
See, Diablo. I have a feeling that they might do at least 2 or 3 continents because I think Diablo 3 actually had 2 continents in it because it had
Mm.
Heaven, Hell, um, I forgot
See, I
what part
would
of Sanctuary it had, but then they also had like another part of Sanctuary because that was also introduced in Diablo 1. So they kind of
yeah.
like
See, like
rebrought that back.
I wasn't even counting Heaven and Hell. I was calling it just strictly Sanctuary. But to your point, yes, like Heaven and Hell would be like two additional areas, so to speak.
Yeah, because that's what Reaper of Souls brought to Diablo 3.
Which one? Hell?
No, Heaven.
Oh, did it? Because I thought Heaven was like the last act in part three, if memory serves me correct.
Well, you do play in Heaven with what was his name? I think it's Diablo that actually went there to take out the
Correct.
whatever the angel's name is. But you couldn't really
Tyrael.
play in there except for the DLC when
So
the
you
Reaper
couldn't like
guy.
navigate in there. You just used it like a dungeon crawl.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Reaper of Souls changed that where you have to go through both Heaven and Hell because that fallen angel was messing things up, trying to resurrect Diablo with the Darkstone.
Interesting. Okay.
And this is the weird part too because they also recently re-released Diablo 2, the remastered edition, and it
Mm-hmm.
makes me think that whatever's happening in Diablo 2 with like Ball or whatever, they're gonna try
Mm-hmm.
to reintroduce him in Diablo 4. Because like, why would you bring Diablo 2 so close to Diablo 4, especially when there's a huge gap between Diablo 3 and everything else? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like it almost makes me think that Diablo 2 plays a bigger importance to Diablo's 4 storyline than we think. Just
I could
because
see
it's
it.
like a year release from each other.
Hmm. I could totally see it for sure. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, if there's more story, I mean, I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm shitting on it, but like to me, the story isn't really all that great. But like, if it's new and it's free, why not?
Wait, you didn't like the well?
I'm
I'm
not
not gonna say you
saying
didn't
like
like it, but you didn't think it was
it.
great.
No, I really like the chick's character, wasn't it Narelle or something? Like I really liked her.
She was the worst part of the story for me.
Really, I liked
Yeah.
her. I don't know, I liked her. Uh, and I mean the cutscenes are always just chef's kiss. So, but yeah, no, I didn't. No, I think the story is just it's meh.
Have you played the other Diablo games? Because I think that's why you're saying it's
Well,
meh.
I did three. And that was my first Diablo game, so I'd never played two or one or Immortal. Like no.
So I think if you're like a newer player and you haven't
Mhm.
really delved into the story, Diablo 4 can be pretty meh. But when if you
Okay.
play Diablo 1, 2, and 3, there's so many
Mhm.
crossovers that these characters mention that you're like,
Okay.
wow, they're really continuing. Like, um, is it Act 3 or 4 when you're going into
Mhm.
Elias's domain, you have this drunken guy that's guiding you in Lorath to the desert. And then
Mhm.
he keeps
Yeah.
calling Lorath Deckard Cain.
Yes. I mean,
Deckard,
I recognize that from part three. So like those are the things that I liked, right? Because I actually recognized them. So to your point, like if there's other references to like two and one that I
oh, there's
didn't recognize,
many
yeah. So
references.
yeah. So that's where I okay. Like if I was you, I'd probably get giddy and like it more. But since I don't, that's a me problem. So I get it.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, that was really funny. I did enjoy.
Because I was
He
like,
kept
why is
calling
he? I'm like, Deckard Cain, he's not here. And then I'm like, oh, he's calling Lowrat Deckard Cain. And he's
Yeah,
like, thinking
yeah,
he's him. I'm like, that's cool. That's a cool
yeah.
throwback.
And then the cool thing is like Lorath, like he instantly recognizes like whatever, dude, just help us through the desert. I'll be your Deckard King.
Yeah. Well, I think Lowrath actually knows Deckard, and he,
Yeah.
realized who he was
Mm-hmm.
because Deckard played a huge part from Diablo 1
And
to
three.
3.
Oh, one through three. Yeah. Like I know he was huge in three, but I didn't know he was there for one, two as well.
Yeah, yeah, he was a huge player in all three games, but obviously what happened in Diablo 3, he passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's maybe why the story is meant because if you didn't play the other ones, it left you with a lot of loose ends. But if you
Mm-hmm.
did play them all, man, it's just chef kiss all
Okay.
the way through.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I just like I mean, I did kind of like Nirel's character, even though you said you didn't. I mean, she could have been a little too like annoying at times, but I enjoyed the passion, I guess. Like, her.
I think the reason why I disliked her is because she made some very questionable decisions throughout the whole story. Like going off by herself. Like when I did my playthrough for YouTube, you can hear me say like, "Don't do it. You're gonna die. You're gonna get hurt." And then certain parts she does eventually get hurt, and then at the very end she decides to completely wander off track. Like our character is like, "No, we're using Mephisto. We're not trusting him." And then in the end, she gets played by the thing she says she's not gonna trust. And I'm like, "You just fell right into Mephisto's trap."
Well, that remains to be seen.
Oh, you could tell. You could definitely tell she is controlled by
Well,
Mephisto.
I mean,
Because
I mean,
as soon as we defeat Lilith, he abandons us.
it's easily so. The part that I was like floored at is when she does it and she goes through the portal. I'm thinking as the main character, why'd you let her do that?
Yeah.
Like, why did you stop her? You're just like, yeah, go ahead, go. You're doing a good thing. It's like no, but like, I think like it is pre-assumed that she's gonna fall under the control and everything, and I think that's the intriguing part. It's like, okay, that's the expectation, right? I don't think that's gonna happen.
I hope not because I feel like they're gonna. I forgot what the girl's name is. The girl from Diablo 3 that basically ended Diablo the third time. The strongest Nephilim. I feel like she's gonna turn into that kind of character, and I hope not because we've already seen two of them, and I don't want to see another one.
Gotcha.
Because like if you play the other ones, you realize the people that are like, oh, we're gonna hide the soul shard or whatever. They eventually
Mm-hmm.
right in their forehead and they turn into the devil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll see. But I think I think it's a little intriguing because like there's the assumptions, the immediate assumptions, and I'm like, we'll see.
So do you think we're gonna get them the DLC? Because I still feel like we're not going to get her in the DLC. we're gonna get something else because I feel like either Ball or Diablo is gonna return, and that's when things are gonna change.
I don't know, man. Like maybe since I haven't played the other ones, I don't know the how can I put it, the format, right? I'm gonna lean towards we will. Now, does it come full circle and we complete like her story arc? Probably not. But I think we should probably get more on that.
So I do have a theory. If she is gonna be introduced in the DLC, I forgot what that mountain's called, but if you play Diablo 2,
Mm-hmm,
where Ball, actually corrupted the World Stone, I have
mm-hmm.
a feeling she's heading there. I forgot what that mountain's called.
So since I'm not too familiar with the lore, I did read an article, and I can't recite it, you know, uh, perfectly. So I'm not even gonna try. But there is like post game text or something that actually kind of tell you where she's going. I just don't remember if that's where it is.
I think that's what I read, and that's what my prediction is, that she's going to go to that mountain where the World Stone was,
Mm-hmm.
and she's going to do something there that's going to screw everything up again. Because Tyrael
Probably.
technically destroyed the soul of the World Stone because it was corrupted, and that's why, the evil was leeching in. But because
Mm-hmm.
Tyrael destroyed the World Stone, the Nephilim's powers actually arose because the World Stone was to suppress our Nephilim powers because we were technically too strong for both heaven and hell, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they had to create the World Stone to nerf us.
So since I didn't play all of Diablo 3 DLC, remind me what happens to Tyrael again?
so so Tyrael, during Reaper of Souls, because at the end of Diablo 3 he takes off his wings, he's no longer an angel, he's now mortal. But because
Oh.
he's fighting one of the fallen angels, I forgot what the fallen angels was, he's basically death himself at this point. He fights him, and then basically at the end he goes back to heaven and claims his seat in the pantheon of angels, and he's no longer Justice, but he turns into the other angel that died in Diablo 3.
Mm,
So basically, he's taking the new mantle as like head angel, whatever. Even though he's technically still immortal,
mm,
but he's back in
interesting.
heaven again.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to not see him like, down in Diablo 4, but maybe they need to finish up Inari's story and finally kill him off.
Yeah, which man, I'm telling you once again, those cinematics, like that was fucking badass.
Yeah, it just
That was
sucked
so
that
cool.
we seen the best cinematic before the game came out.
Well, that portion of the cinematic wasn't shown before the game came out.
Well, the Inaris part, but like everything
Yeah,
leading up is pretty much
yeah,
end
everything
game
leading up to
cinematic.
the one-on-one part, yeah, we've seen, but that part was like the new fresh part. So, which was still badass.
Yeah, Lilith played that man like a fiddle. Like I love
Oh, of
how
course.
Anars was so like enveloped with like redeeming himself, but he should have realized that the angels are self-centered and they didn't care.
Yeah,
Like
and that's why, like you said, like she just played him. She's like, I'm gonna let you do this and think you're gonna go there, but you ain't going nowhere.
she had one of the coldest lines. She is like, their judgment is their silence. And like
Yeah,
as soon as she said that, he lost it, and that's how he died. He
yeah,
was like, yeah, their judgment. That's why they don't talk to you. It's just silence. They abandon you.
yeah, yeah. It was really good. It was really good.
They need to make a movie, man. They really do.
I mean, you could say that with almost all their franchises, but like let them control the narrative and do it all CG. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
I want to know like who, because if you play Diablo 1, like the original Diablo 1 from like 19 whatever, 97 whatever, and then
Mhm.
same thing with like Warcraft, you see like a shift in CG studios. And whoever found that new CG studio that makes the top quality animations we see now for both World of Warcraft and Diablo,
Mhm.
that person needs to be raised to CEO level because they are just phenomenal in basically all across the entertainment world. Like I don't think I've ever seen CGI
Yeah,
better than them. Like even
yeah,
Illumination doesn't compare to them.
yeah. It really is like on top of the world, like no doubt. And I'm not saying that as a fanboy. Like, I mean, I know you're a fan of them, but I think I'm probably a little bit higher than you in a fanboy spectrum. But yeah,
But just like the
it is
level of
top notch.
detail with the animation, like if even if we're just going for the trailer alone, when
Hmm.
what's her name, Prava is walking in hell,
Yeah,
and she's
proper.
walking over the lava, and the lava, and you can see her skin like rip off as she's walking through the lava. It's just like the little micro details with it.
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah,
mind blowing.
yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I agree. It's just it's that's why I'm always so giddy when no matter what their IP is, it's like, oh, we're gonna get something good.
Yeah, the visuals, the sound score, everything about it is just perfection.
Yep, sound score that means a lot because that's what also induces the feelings. Like your eyes get the visual sex, but the score gives like it attaches everything together.
Yeah, it's weird when you get both
It makes
visual
you
and
feel.
sound. It connects with your heart, like your heart starts beating to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
I concur wholly. The only like and now like if you probably watch it now if you go and look it up, I mean it doesn't hold water to it, but like back when like the Onimusha cinematics came out, I always thought like those were really tough for the times where I was like to me it was like kind of Blizzard quality. Um but yeah, they're unrivaled, like no doubt.
I wouldn't say they're unrivaled because they definitely have a few rivals. I'm not sure if you
Well, I
ever seen
mean,
NetherRealm Studio quality. Like they're
what
pretty
I mean,
good
like
too.
I mean, what I mean by that is like
They're
like
definitely top
I
echelon,
put them.
upper echelon.
Yes, exactly. Like I put them on the top echelon. Unrivaled is probably
I'm
wrong.
trying to think of like besides like obviously Blizzard and their new team, NetherRealm Studios has outdone themselves with their visual cinematics. Midway kind of did a good job before they fell apart because I'm not sure if you remember like Shaolin Monk cinematics, Deadly Alliance cinematics. Those are pretty good. I'm trying to think if there's any other game that had a good cinematic.
I'd probably have to go back and look, but um yeah. I mean, if you go back and watch like something like Kingsglaive from Final Fantasy 15, I mean, that was done pretty good, I would say.
Yeah. Bungie, they
Uh,
had a good team, but then they dropped their awesomeness and they made these weird like 2D hand drawn things. And I think they
mm,
did that because they cheaped out.
mm,
But they used to have like top quality CG stuff. Like if you watch like the D1 stuff, you're like, wow, I can't believe that's a video game.
hmm.
But then they dropped everything. Now they don't do that anymore, which is kind of crappy. But
Yeah,
it is what it is on that.
yeah. But yeah, so we talked about we're talking about game of the year, right? Contentions and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I do agree. Four has also earned a seat, but I remember asking you this way back in like talked about it forecasting, and I believe I asked you, and I just don't remember the answer. Are they limited to the number of nominations? Because I thought the answer was no, right? So to that point, that's why I'm still yes about think like going to be a part of it just based on name alone.
Hold on, say what you said again because half what you said cut out.
I'm sorry. Okay, so when it comes to game of the year, are they limited to the amount of nominees?
Oh, so like how many games can they have in the category? I think it's like four or
Yes.
five.
Also, it is a limitation.
Yeah, I thought you're saying from what I the little thing I heard, I thought you're saying if one game could be nominated for multiple categories. That's what I thought you said.
Oh no! For that one category, is there a maximum
Yeah,
amount of
it's
nominations?
like four or five, one of the two.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I'm sure. Once again, we know we got some on the horizon. Like you mentioned, Starfield, Spider-Man 2. I don't know what else may rise to the occasion in between now and then, but we'll figure it out when the time comes.
I am gonna make a bold prediction.
Okay.
And I'm saying this because, like I said, Starfield is really a make or break moment for this. And the direct I seen looked really, really promising.
Mm-hmm.
But if the gameplay actually truly holds up to what we think it's gonna be, it wins automatically. But if not, then I don't know. Then it's just a random toss up in the air.
Do you think that game may suffer similar to what you mentioned with right now recently with 16, where the world may be too big and empty?
I think that's going to be a concern for a bunch of planets, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. I feel like yes for certain parts of the game because
Mhm.
they specifically say not every world's going to be
Correct.
populated.
Correct. I think they said like only 10% if I saw an article correctly.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
some plants might be more littered with
So,
animal life. Some plants might be littered with bandits. Some people might just be abandoned mine shafts.
mhm,
So I think that's going to be up to player interpretation how they do that. So
mhm,
I think that it might suffer that same consequence, but that's only because
mhm.
people didn't hear what they said.
Yeah. Yeah, and but you know how people are if they don't see that and then they hands up 90 planets, I got nothing on there. Why even put it there? See, like I think like and this is me really lack of knowing a lot of things, but like I think if you're kind of similar maybe to Zelda, like if you're looking for a game to explore and get lost in, but also appreciate it, that's going to be the game for you. Now, the downfall is it's very sci-fi oriented, right? I mean, talking about space, so space is kind of sci-fi-ish. So it's like you're already limited in your audience that doesn't like that type of fantasy, right? So, you know, it's funny since we're talking about it, I read in full article, but I read most of an article that how it was intended to be a PS5 exclusive until Microsoft bought them out because they heard it was a PS5 exclusive, which I think is hilarious because we had the conversation like, well, on a PS5 or would you get it? I'm like, yeah, I probably would. So, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
After we,
Well, hearing I mean, this has been a fact. This game literally has been 25 years in the making.
mm,
Like they've written down the story, the script. They've already had that jotted down for a long time. The only problem is the people at Bethesda, they didn't have the technology at the time. Just like how
mm,
James Cameron wanted to do Avatar, but he's like, "No, we're still not at that level yet. I'm gonna
mm-hmm,
hold off." That's what
mm-hmm,
they were doing. They were like, "We have this idea. We just want the technology."
mm-hmm.
Now the technology kind of caught up to their idea, and I think that's why they're trying to push it as far as we have now. And like I said, if it truly is even 50% of what they're even advertising, it's going to be a big game. But I also think that's why Microsoft is hedging their bets a little bit because around the
Mm-hmm.
same time, a fantasy-like game from Bethesda, Avowed's going to be released. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't like sci-fi, you still got a fantasy-like game with Avowed coming out. So it's like they'll still split the base 50-50 on those two games.
And the Starfield is a day one PC release as well, right?
Yep, day and date for both
Okay,
Xbox and PC. I do think it is going to come to PS5 at some point.
that'd be interesting. And I think I read too they're actually going to finally do a physical copy because remember that you mentioned that wasn't the case, but I thought I saw something that they like. Oh no, we're actually going to do one.
So the collector's edition, they've confirmed that you do get a physical box, but there's no disc. It's just a code. Other
Gotcha.
than like the normal version, I have no idea if there's physical or not.
Okay. I mean I'm not lying. Like I'm a little. I just don't know if it's something that I'm gonna wanna like install in my computer.
Well,
Intrigued.
this is the great thing, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's on Game Pass, it's gonna hurt it, blah blah blah. It's a perfect trial. You can get a you can get one $15 a month subscription and play Starfield. If you don't like it, you cancel your subscription, you stop playing, and you get the full
Oh,
game during that subscription.
and it's only $15.
Yeah,
Missed if you didn't like it. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like it's a decent motive.
yeah. So if you want the option, it's there, and you don't have to pay the whole full $6. But if you like it, you just keep playing on the subscription.
True.
But
So
yeah,
we'll see.
there's a lot of things on the horizon. Like I said, Avowed, you got Spider-Man 2. I I know I'm gonna sound like a hater for Sony, but I really do not want Spider-Man to be on that list. I really do not. Because I feel like out of all the great games that came out this year, even Final Fantasy 16 with my little beefs with it, I feel like it deserves to be on that list more than Spider-Man does, even if it's a great game.
So right now you're looking at your Fab Five. If we're doing five, you're leaning towards Hogwarts, Starfield, Diablo 4, Zelda,
Yes, Zelda.
and that's four. What was the fifth one? Oh,
So
MK. You said you want to throw MK in there.
I want to throw
Maybe.
MK in there, but the way Street Fighter's looking, Street Fighter might be MK. Like Street Fighter has done really, really well as well. Like Diablo, we're talking about how retention is still there.
Mm-hmm,
Street Fighter came out at the same time. It's still averaging
mm-hmm,
30,000 plus viewers on YouTube, Twitch alone And this is separate.
And on top of it, they haven't really fully gone full speed with like the tournaments and stuff
Oh no,
either, right?
that's kicking
Yeah,
off in August, so that's gonna ramp
yeah,
up. They have a new character coming out in like about
exactly,
2 weeks, so that's gonna
exactly.
ramp up again. So
Yeah.
if Mortal Kombat doesn't deliver, which I'm not saying it's not going to, because if you look at the trailer, which we will talk about later, it is looking pristine. Because I also played the stress test of it too, and oh, it is fantastic.
Okay. Okay.
But Mortal Kombat is on my list, but obviously I gotta wait till it fully comes out, and then it might be Street Fighter 6, if not.
Okay. Interesting.
What was yours again? I know Zelda's definitely one of them, and
Yeah, because that's my
Final
winner.
Final Fantasy
So
16 is another.
I'll agree with your Hogwarts because it's once again talking about Harry Potter. So oh, man, if I'm gonna have to do a Fab Five, see Hogwarts, Zelda, Final, Diablo, Starfield, but like to your point, I feel like Spider-Man. Maybe they, open it up and like, hey, we have to include this. I don't know. They make it 6 or 7, and they sneak some more in there. I don't know. I don't know. But if I
It'd be
had to
funny to see
limit,
him break the rules.
if I had to limit it to 5, I think it's hard to eliminate Hogwarts, but like it's a wait and see approach, right? Because Starfield and Spider-Man haven't come out, but gravitas, right? And when they initially come out, but kind of like your point when you talk about and analyze these things, it's like, okay, well, yeah, launch day you're gonna have that guaranteed, but what about 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road? So it's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I know I'm a fanboy for Hogwarts right now, and I have to defend it.
Mm-hmm.
Hogwarts is and still is sold more than both Zelda and Final Fantasy 16.
Well, you gotta remember they
And the
have.
Switch version hasn't come out yet either. It's still coming
Oh
out soon.
well, and that's the point I was gonna make. Is you gotta remember that's a multi-platform. So in theory, it should outsell because Zelda's limited to Nintendo, Final Fantasy is limited to Sony. So will Spider-Man, Starfield. That one will be interesting to Xbox and PC, but that'll be an interesting one to watch. MK will have the benefit of being multi. Is that one being?
I'm sorry, your mic cut out when you said that.
Is MK1 also being released on the Switch day one?
I don't know about the Switch, but I know PC, Xbox, and PlayStation is day and date.
Correct. Yeah. That I definitely do know. Okay, so they have the luxury of being multi-platform. So I just want to throw those variables out there because
But here's another variable: Final Fantasy, like Square Enix and Nintendo, already have a pre-established development career. People know what to expect from them.
mm-hmm.
Avalanche Studio, this was their first real game that they made. No one expected
Mm-hmm.
anything from Hogwarts Legacy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they just blew out of the water for one of their first major games.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
you gotta throw that for them. This is a major success for them.
oh, for sure. I'm not denying that, but I'm just you brought up sales, so I'm talking about sales now, not the company. You got sometimes you just gotta watch your tongue, Josh. Okay.
I'm just saying the only reason why Zelda and Final Fantasy sold as much as they did is only because of the developer recognition that they had behind it. If they didn't have
Well,
that, and they were like, if it was a new studio like Avalanche was, I don't think it was sold nearly as well.
oh, uh, no, I mean I agree with you, but they've also earned that. Like it's not like
Oh, I'm not saying they didn't earn that, but I'm just saying that because
it's assumed.
they had the roots, they had that
Yeah,
benefit, while
yeah,
Avalanche didn't have that
that's
benefit. They
that's
had
true.
to muster their way out from the mud.
Hold on, but even as a studio now, they have the benefit of the IP. It's not like it's a Harry Potter ripoff and it's something different. No, like they have the IP here, so that carries a lot.
They had the
weight.
name, but that could have been a double-edged sword because that was their first ever game. And they had to deal with a huge name IP. That was a lot of stress on them.
That's a big boulder on your shoulders, no doubt. But I'm just throwing it out there. That's an established IP too. So all because it's not an established company or platform, it's a very established IP. Like look at Star Wars, for example, established IP, but sometimes the game doesn't do well, right? So
Yeah.
so same difference.
Just like there's been a lot of Harry Potter games that haven't done even remotely close to Hogwarts Legacy, but this one did because it was actually done well.
Yeah, and that's good. Like, I mean, I watched you play a little bit. I know, I'm not naive and turn a blind eye to see it. So yeah, I mean, I saw how well it did, and it's if I was a fan of the IP, I'm sure I would have enjoyed the hell out of it, but I'm not. So
I'm not saying it should win Game of the Year, but it definitely should be in that top 5 category.
no, and I think it will be. The only downfall is how
Short-term memory
early it
loss,
was
or
released.
long-term memory loss.
Yeah,
People forget.
yeah,
They're like, "Oh,
yeah,
February. That was a long time ago."
yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's why Avalanche did this correctly, because I think they probably could have released all of them simultaneously, even though it might have been a
Probably.
buggy mess. I think
Hmm.
doing the older ones a month or two later was smart because it creates the extra build up, and then switch like 6 months down the line. It still creates buzz around the game,
100%.
and I think that worked
100%.
out to their benefit, which was very smart marketing and a business decision.
Yeah. No, I concur.
I just need to see how it plays on Switch. Like, it's too big of a game. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I guess it worked for Zelda, so let's see.
Well, Zelda kind of is an anomaly. I mean, it's that's their bread and butter, man. That's their baby. So, or one of their babies.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what game it is, but there was a game recently, like, that was on PlayStation 5, and it was already having trouble on PlayStation 5 because of how much processing power it was. But then it went to Switch, and supposedly they pulled it from the shelf. It was a big IP game, too. I'm trying to remember what game
You're
it
not talking
was.
about not Cyberpunk, are you?
I don't think it was Cyberpunk. I don't think that ever came out on Switch. There was
Okay.
another big game, though, that was like that kind of game. And supposedly, as soon as it was released on Switch, it basically blew up the console. Well, when I say blew up the console, like, it ran for like a second and just turned off. And I want to
don't know
say it
which-
was Final Fantasy, but I could be wrong on that.
I don't. If it was, I think I would have heard about that. I don't think it was because that would have been pretty recent.
Yeah, I wish I could remember, but I know there was a game. I wish I could remember what the name is.
Was it maybe a Call of Duty game?
No, they haven't had they haven't had a Call of Duty on Switch. No.
No. Okay.
Maybe
Huh.
I'll bring it up again later once I
Okay.
actually remember the game. But
Okay.
it was kind of funny seeing it was like I'm like, oh, this is a pretty big game for Switch, and then it came out for Switch, and then it's like, oh, it killed the system.
I know I saw. Talking about not remembering what game it was, but I saw like a side by side screen of some game that's on. I forgot if it's PS5 or Xbox, but for the sake of the story, it's a little irrelevant. But they show the screenshot of how the game looks like on that, and then how it looks like on Switch, and it's just like day and night difference on how crappy it looks. They almost look like Minecraft graphics, and I was like, oh my fuck, I like that. But that's the thing, right? Like I don't know how much that kills the gameplay experience, but like once again, and I've argued this with you in the past, like as a consumer, I know what I'm getting when I have a Switch and what games I expect to play on my Switch. There are particular games that I'm never going to buy on Switch. So it's like, and there's a reason for that.
I could be wrong because I was looking this up. I don't, first, it's saying it's Bloodstained, but that doesn't sound like the name that I'm thinking of. So maybe there's another game too, but they're saying that they loaded Bloodstained on the Switch Lite, and pretty much everyone that ran it, their systems just shut off.
That's pretty funny.
But I feel like that's not the game I'm thinking of. I swear there's another game, but like I said, I can't remember it. Maybe it'll come back to me later. But yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. I can't wait for that to come on Switch because I need to see what's going to happen with that system.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, other than that, I don't know what else. I don't think I have too much to add. I guess to kind of piggyback on smaller topics that we brought up in the past, because I don't remember if I brought this up on the last podcast because I don't think it happened yet. So my apologies to anybody out there if we already talked about this. But we had mentioned, or I had mentioned, this Magic the Gathering One Ring card that was
and the card was
sought
found
after, and it's actually been pulled and graded. So now all the plummeting because the chase is over. I mean, you can still get some still nice cards, out of them that are worth a penny, but the 2 million bounty plus, who knows how much this guy's going to get for the card. That search is over, but it's good to hear that it was like a regular person or gal, I don't know.
Oh, so it wasn't like a
That,
whale that bought many packs.
correct, and then and I love that because we had these spending like tens of thousands of dollars ripping the product, hoping to get it.
Have you ever seen the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Where
No.
in the beginning, like there was like the 5 kids trying to look for the golden ticket.
Mhm.
One of them was like a rich family. They had like a whole like assembly line opening chocolates to see that. I was picturing that somebody out there buying all those magic cards.
Oh,
opening, like, gotta
110%.
find that, gotta find that, gotta
like,
find
like,
that.
Like that guy, what's his name? Is it QTC or whatever the fuck that guy's name is?
Oh, XQC?
Or XQC, that guy. Yeah, he spent like 10 grand.
Oh, did he
Probably
really?
more. Yeah, and he was ripping on his... I mean, I didn't watch it. I saw the article. I'm just glad that, a lowbie like us. Because that's awesome.
That probably pissed so many whales off.
Oh, good. That's okay. If a whale got it, depending on how they handle it, like, it wouldn't bother me. But what bothers me about these people that aren't into the hobby is the way they handle the product, like, when they're touching the cards,
their
and
little greasy fingers.
not holding it like it's a fucking piece of gold. Like, that stuff irks the hell out of me, and as a hobbyist, I cringe. It's like you are seeking a card that's worth that much money, and the way your hand, like, you get the oil on your finger, like oh, it's so cringe to me.
It's so funny because I seen a TikTok of the same exact thing where, like, obviously they're playing a character, and there was like a nerdy guy who's like, "Can I see that card? Can I touch it?" And they're like, purposely bending the sides and all that stuff. I'm like,
see, now if they do it purposefully, that it's still cringe to me. Don't get me wrong, but at least they're like purposely being dicks, right? Like, they know what
this was a satire.
What they're doing.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing, and there's a different level of appreciation. I get that because they're totally trolling. Versus the ones that are, like, dare I say, uneducated, or the ignorance is bliss part. Like, that's the ones that are more cringe. It's like, stop.
It's funny because recently you told me about Discreet Play. I've been going there recently a lot, and they sell cards there too. They have cards on the counter or whatever. So when I was there the other day, like 2 weeks ago, to buy a couple movies, there was a dad with this like 4-year-old. I'm gonna assume it's a 4-year-old kid. It was a small kid.
Mm-hmm.
He was looking at a card for Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something like that. He was looking at it. The guy gave it to him. He was, he was holding it, and then he handed it to his son.
Mm-hmm.
And this son was doing like this with the card, and you could see the employee's face. He was like,
yeah.
And then I was hearing, I was watching this go down. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Because I was like interested. And the guy was like, "Are you gonna buy that card?" And then he looked down at his son. He was like, "I'm gonna buy that card." It was like, and it wasn't a cheap card. It was a $250 card, and the son was just bending it.
That's nuts, man. I'm speechless. I'm like, fuck, man. Like I get it. Like, if it's a kid being a kid without the dad there, and he spent his garbage allowance money, to buy a pack, and he's doing fine. I get it. I've been there. But as an adult, it's like totally different ball game, and that kid gonna learn. He's gonna, like seriously, like I don't sit here and watch too many break videos, but I've seen some where, once again, the parents will let their kids open shit and rip it, and they're doing this, and it's like, oh, cringe. And then I see the other kids that they were taught the right way.
Yeah. Well, that's probably because the parents was like, if you bend this, I'm gonna break your hands.
Right? Speaking of breaking hands, talk about short news. I saw your little comment on a Twitter video of
the kid spending his parents' entire life savings on microtransactions.
So I was going to rebuttal, but I felt like it. Well, now obviously it's coming up on our podcast, so I kind of want to say that I blame the parents. Like, seriously, like, if you don't know your kid, like, unless they did that entire transaction in a matter of like an hour, then fine. But like, if you don't have a finger on the pulse on your own fucking money, you're the problem. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not fully excusing the kid. The kid has,
Well,
you
he's
know,
17 years old.
exactly. The kid should know, but the parents should also have a finger on the damn pulse with that comes in their damn bank accounts. Like,
Well,
that's
if
more on them than on the kid.
this scenario, the kid blew it all in one sitting, like within a matter of minutes. He
Okay,
was
so that's
constantly
fucked.
buying things
That is just okay. So if that's the actual story, that is fucked.
because
And I could see,
the dad
I
got an
could see
alert on the
why they're so
phone,
fucking pissed. Yeah,
and then when they tracked the son down at the internet
mm,
cafe, that's when that happened.
that
But
is
he
jacked
blew it
up.
all in that one sitting. That's why the dad and the mom rushed over there because they got the alert.
Wow, that is jacked up. Now I can't
And
defend.
they didn't give him the card. Supposedly, the reason why he stole the card is because the parents were not going to let him buy anything. He had to earn his money, and they told him no. So the kid stole the card from the mom's purse and
Hmm.
went to the internet cafe and spent it all.
Yeah, no, I don't blame them one bit. I really don't. Then,
Yeah,
like, he deserves all that and more.
yeah, because there's a follow up to that story because there's certain policies where certain things are allowed because this happened once before with a kid on Roblox that he spent his father's all his money and went negative. So the company actually reimbursed the parents and they just took away all the microtransactions from that kid's account.
Hmm.
But he spent I think it was like over $30,000.
I like, even at that age, I couldn't even imagine doing that to my parents. I mean, first off, my parents never had that money. Let me
No,
start
you,
there.
you you would ask first, like even if it's $5, you'd be like, "Hey, can I buy this for $5?" If they say no, you're like, "All right, I'll wait."
I that's just unfathomable to me in my mind. Like, it's how could you?
Yeah,
That just blows my mind. Like, that's a special kind of special right there.
yeah,
Special
that,
kind of evil probably too.
yeah. I'm just happy that the parents got their money back because I mean,
That's good. Yeah.
just imagine seeing your whole retirement savings just gone. Because he didn't use like a debit card, he used a credit card, and
Hmm.
those things in China they have a huge interest rate on those.
Yeah.
So luckily they got it back.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I guess kudos to the gaming company for doing that. I mean, they're printing their own money, so I mean, it's a write off for them, I guess. But
It's funny. I think the game. Well, I could be wrong on this because there's like 7 articles on this, and they're all saying different things. But I
mhm.
think I think the kid was spending money on League of Legends.
Oh God, that probably if it was it recent, like live
Yeah,
recent.
this was very
Okay, it,
recent.
it probably makes sense because they have some new like mode going on, so they probably have microtransactions.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
familiar with it, but that's
yeah,
what I seen and read. I don't know if it's true or not, but
yeah.
supposedly it was on League of Legends that happened.
God, yeah. I mean, the other thing too is like, well, I don't know. 17 years old, man. Like, fuck, man. Be better.
Yeah, but my
Be
favorite
better,
thing about
man.
that clip though was the guy next to him. He was like, "I'm just gonna keep playing my game, even though this guy's getting beat right next to me."
Dude, he was in the zone, man.
Like he even like screwed to the side. He was like, You're not fucking up my game. I'm gonna keep going." But if you look
Yeah.
at the internet cafe, like if you, I mean, there's gamers and then there's Asian gamers. I know it's gonna sound racist, but it's true. Those people at the internet cafe, if you looked at all their monitors, those people were farming. Like that guy had 3 games
Mm.
up on his monitor. One was World of Warcraft. I forgot what the other one was. And I think the other one was like Legends or
So some of them are actually working.
yeah, like they were like farming. They had like auto
Yeah.
plugins and all that stuff. I'm like, damn,
Uh,
that's what Asian cafes are like.
yeah. They're like, well, not really virtual, but they're like sweatshops, but for gaming.
Yeah,
I
it's kind of
mean, it is
interesting.
what it is. Yeah, no, it is. It's different worlds, man. Different worlds.
Yeah, I was also looking at their laws. Apparently, like internet cafes have like special rules where they have like a lot of like upload and download speeds, but normally like for normal households they don't have that. It's very restricted,
Correct. Yeah.
and that's why they go to the gaming cafes to play because they have
It's a little
unlimited
bit more
internet.
limited. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so I thought
Hmm.
that was kind of interesting seeing like the culture change. Like you and I, we could do almost all that stuff from a home, but they
Yeah.
literally have to go to that cafe to play.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's other countries that are like that. Well, maybe not anymore, but we're like that. And that's why, they would have like the LAN parties and stuff like that. So, Which
Yeah.
actually sounds pretty cool because you get together with your buddies and just you bring your own shit, but you have to hook up at that facility and just game out. So
Yeah, but just imagine, like, in order to play a game, and these guys play for hours, like 16 hours a day,
yeah,
like going
yeah,
to a cafe and playing with other people around you. Like, you're not the luxury of
no,
your own home. You literally have to be with other people playing your game.
yeah. I mean, not in that world, but if I was, who knows? Maybe I would be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would have no choice. You would have to go
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah, that was a weird story, and I love how people are like trying to like defend the kid. I'm like, what?
yeah. I mean, I was only defending him, not knowing the based on how you painted it. Um, yeah, I can't defend that, and that's why my mindset is like, well, if he did it all in a matter of one track slash, then absolutely not. That's just shitbaggery.
Hmm. I wonder if that kid's alive. He probably got late term aborted.
Yeah. So, but if you're ready to move on to topics, unless you got some more mini stuff, let me see. Do I got anything mini topic worthy? Uh, oh, there's one thing. I don't know the full concept behind this, but regardless, I'm not going to go to full details. I would kind of briefly talked about it before. Pokimane rated someone that's not of a higher caliber,
Oh, the IRL
and
streamer, and she was crying.
yeah, so I think stuff like that's really cool, and I kind of you know hope that happens more often. It's just very short and sweet.
It's funny. I know I'm gonna put negative spin on this, even though I'm really happy
Okay,
for that
no,
IRL streamer because they were crying and happy and showed their mom and all that stuff.
yeah, that's fine.
When it comes from Pokimane, she is very strategic and she always claims to be like, oh, peace, love, but she does everything for a purpose. She's not a nice
I
person. She's very business
I
like.
I totally understand it, and that's still fine.
Obviously, it
Even
did good for
even
someone else.
yes, no, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Even though there is for herself, there's still a moment that you're helping. Whether or not she gets to capitalize on that or not, it's irrelevant. It's just that moment that's like that. That's the only thing I'm giving the credit for. Like I
Yeah.
at this point, and I agree with you. I'm sure there is something there, but I still like the moment.
Oh yeah, no,
Like
I
it's
agree. Like
good.
I was separate for that stream. It's just weird. Like whenever there's like a streamer that I know is very shady, it's
Mm-hmm.
like my brain has to go to two sides. I'm like I'm happy for that person, but I'm like I'm skeptical of this one.
Yep. No. Totally. I totally agree. Moving on to topic numero uno.
Yes. Going on to topic number one. Threads. So for the people that don't know, Facebook just released their new app, I guess, which they already have Facebook. The new equivalent of Twitter, which is called Threads. It's supposed to be a competition for Twitter. Um, they say it's paired with Instagram, which is kind of weird because technically Instagram is paired with Facebook. So that means that Threads is paired with Facebook as well, even though they're saying Instagram. I don't know, it's a whole weird mess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people are, obviously since the whole Twitter change, the rate limit reach, which the rate limit is basically how many tweets you can see per day. I think it was like 600, 800 for free users, which I think they lifted now, and 8,000 for
Mm.
verified users, which they changed again. So people are like, all right, we're going to try out the new social media site, which is like the eighth time this year where people have swapped. And the new current trend is Threads, which is now backed by Facebook. So it's one of the actual bigger competitors now, actually trying to compete with Twitter. And people are making a lot of accounts. They're moving over to Threads, checking it out, and seeing how it is. I went over there. I actually made an account, so if you want to follow me, it's Joshua Cast on Threads. Not that I'm going to be using it that much.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Gotta do it every time. I told myself that whenever there's a new thing, I gotta try because you never know. If it takes off, at least you're there when it first there. If it's not, then you just laugh at it. But I made an account to see what it's about. It's like Twitter, except it sucks because you see everybody and their mother on there because they try to connect you with everybody from your contacts,
Mm.
which is
Mm.
horrible. I hate that thing with Facebook.
Mm.
Um, and then not only that, they have this weird thing because they basically market it from Facebook. So anything that a person that you follow likes or replies to, you now then see that person's comments and all that stuff. So even if you don't follow them or know them, you now see them because somebody else replied or liked to them, which is more.
Doesn't Twitter work that way though too?
It does, but you only see the person they replied to. But because you see that person's reply, and if they reply to somebody else, then you start seeing more and more and more. And eventually you go down a crazy rabbit hole of seeing people you don't even know of that are in India or China, or whatever, that are doing things that you don't even care about.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, so like I haven't made an account, honestly, don't think I will. I thought I did see overnight, because it's only been active, what, 1 day, 48 hours, something like that, that they got 30 million accounts made, which is obviously a shit ton. That's a lot of accounts.
So it is 30 million, but that's a false number because it's so integrated with Facebook and
They're
Instagram.
like
They're
automated.
they're counting those as accounts, even though
Yeah,
not all of them are active in.
yeah. I kind of figured as much, and I'm glad you've brought that to light, because I was thinking that's probably part of the caveat there.
Yeah, because
I
literally when you sign up, it will be like,
uh
oh, follow everybody from Instagram or Facebook, and
use your
literally
Facebook login.
and literally 99% of the people I follow on both of them, they don't even have threads. So it's like you're telling me to follow them, but they don't even have an account.
Yeah,
But they're using off the
exactly.
messenger data. So it's like Mark Zuckerberg, why are you trying to lie?
Yeah. Since I got rid of my Facebook, that's the other reason why I don't intend to sign up for this, because I'm done with that facet of my life. Like, no, Facebook is El Diablo. Now, a lot of people say Twitter's El Diablo, and to some degree that could be factual.
It-
I'm still sticking with it until the ship actually sinks, or until it becomes very useless to me, which a lot of the changes they've been doing have been advocating the uselessness for me, but it's not there yet.
so it's funny because people are so misinformed about what this rate limit thing is for Twitter. So
Mm-hmm.
the reason why Elon is doing, people are like, oh, it's to encourage buying verified. No, I mean maybe a little bit, but it's more to reduce the bot spamming and the data breaches, because there's loads of organizations in America, Russia, whatever, that are all trying to siphon data from Twitter and all these other social medias. And Twitter is one of the only active companies trying to prevent that from happening. That's why they're doing like a rate limit to see who's actually a bot account versus who's a human account based on interactions alone. And unfortunately, because Elon Musk is too busy being like a memester, he's not explaining what these changes are for. Luckily, there was an actual data engineer from Twitter that released a statement, even though it wasn't an unofficial one. He was explaining why they're doing this. It's to prevent the metadata being, scraped off and being sold and all that stuff. So there's a reason to protect the users. Unfortunately, people don't realize that, this is supposed to help them, so they move over to Thread thinking, it's a whole anti whatever Elon thing,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
realizing that in the terms of service for Threads, that Facebook will and sell all your data that they collect.
Have fun with that, people. I'm
And
sure.
not,
I'm sure there'll be a class action lawsuit soon with that.
well, they can't, because in order to do it, you literally have to agree. So once you agree, your rights
Well,
are waived away.
that's not true. There's
No, it is.
been many.
There's a reason why your terms of service is there. It's right in
Well,
center.
and I'm telling you, I've collected money from these class actions that I also agreed to terms of services, but because there's a class action lawsuit, they find their ways around it and
Legally, you
awarded
should.
money.
If you're dumb enough to say yes without reading, then you should not get any
I'm not
compensation.
disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. That it wasn't my lawsuit. I said it was a class action.
I know.
Yeah,
Obviously, you took advantage of the situation, but I'm saying
exactly.
people that were getting mad, I'm like,
I'm
it
not
was
disagreeing with you.
literally there. Yes, there's thousands of
Yep.
pages, but it's there
Yep.
in the terms.
No, I understand, and that's why they're there, right? Because we like to talk about contracts all the time. Technically, you are agreeing to as a user. That's your contract
Yeah.
as a user.
At least it's not TikTok bad. TikTok, obviously, not only does it siphon data from your phone, but it siphons data off your Wi-Fi, which connect if any other device is connected to, it will literally log in and connect data from that device as well. That's
Oh, I
why
didn't even know that.
that's why they're trying to
That's
ban
why the
certain
government is
states.
trying to. Well, I know one state did successfully.
Yeah,
Well,
I can't remember what
steroids did
state it is,
successfully.
but yeah, they did ban it.
Are they still the only state in the U.S. that's
Yeah.
banned it? Interesting. See, now that caveat, see my lack of knowledge here, people, but I didn't even know that app has that. If you want to call it luxury, for them it's a luxury, of course, but I didn't know that was part of the terms of service agreed upon. That is shitty, scummy shit, though.
Yeah. And they tell you almost like in the third page what they're doing. Like they're not hiding it. They're
Yeah,
telling you.
yeah. Well, that's China free, I guess.
Yeah. And it's funny because like this is one of the things versus user freedom versus actual safety. Like the
Mhm.
state that banned it really is looking out for the people, but of course people want entertainment regardless of their safety. So they're like, hey, like even though I'm using TikTok, which I shouldn't because even if I don't think I have something to hide, people can still take my name and identity and use it to create
Mhm.
credit fraud, whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
So really, realistically, I should delete it, but I'm too busy scrolling.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Interesting.
one thing I do think is funny is that people are like, people are on threads because, like I said, I made an account.
Mhm.
People are over there memeing, saying, "Oh, look, we got a free account," but they don't realize that there's also the threads is pushing a paid subscription version as well, like verified, Twitter verified is.
Go figure.
But theirs is $16.
Jesus Christ.
So it's like people that are going to thread thinking they're getting better. I'm like, no, you're getting worse. He's just trying to play you for now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you enjoy being fucked, huh?
but
Oh
but
man.
to add on to the story, because this is where I go with Mark Zuckerberg being a scumbag. Because if you don't, for people that don't know his history, when Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, he literally stole it from another person. He stole it from two
Mhm.
other people that were doing this. They call it a different name, but because they didn't patent it, he was able to steal it with his team. And he was also working with the guy from LimeWire doing it as well. So he already has a history of sketchiness. And now, because he made Threads, which is supposed to be the competitor for Twitter, Elon Musk is now going to sue him because of so many similarities, like basically carbon copies of what Twitter does. And now Elon Musk is like, I'm all for competition, but I'm not for cheating and stealing. So now there's a potential huge lawsuit from Elon Musk to Mark Zuckerberg, which I think this is going to be their actual fight instead of like a fist fight. It's going to be a lawsuit fight.
Yeah, I'm there's a small interest to see how this goes. Me personally, I don't see how Elon can win this. Like it's okay, carbon copy it is. So what? It's you don't own it as an intellectual property. Like it's there's nothing there says that you own this format.
Well,
Like anybody could replicate it. I mean, TikTok is fucking Vine. Like it happens all the Facebook was MySpace. I mean, you could argue yes, there are differences, but in the world of social media, it's like the newest company next. Let's see if it's a fad or if it's like I don't know.
well, technically he can win depending on what he's attacking. Obviously, there's so many different aspects on he could attack.
Mm-hmm,
It could
mm-hmm,
either be a patent for a layout design. It could be SEO optimizations and how they work. If it's basically using whatever Twitter's using, there's
mm-hmm,
so many little like meticulous things that he could pick at and actually win against.
mm-hmm.
But because you and I don't work in that field, we don't know what he's actually going to attack. But he probably has a
True,
team of engineers looking at that
true.
and seeing what
Yeah,
they actually copied or stole from them.
yeah.
Because he
No,
doesn't
so
he's not the kind of he's not the type of guy that will threaten a lawsuit without actually having some kind of proof that there might be
something
something.
tangible.
Yeah.
So in that regard, that's where my interest gets piqued. It's like, okay, what is it truly that this is moving forward? Because I mean, from bare bones looking at it right now, it's like, okay, you can't press charges on something that's like a social media platform. Like, stop yourself. But to your point, if there is something that's like a patent pending, right? I don't know what would be. I don't know if you could patent pen like a string of code, but what do I know?
Oh yeah, you can. People do it all the
Yeah.
time.
So
Like literally the ATMs do the same thing with how they check money.
yeah. So I mean, with that said, then like if to your point, if that is found, then yeah, then of course he has a case. But just from the face of it, right? Like it's like what? No, stop. But we'll see how this evolves.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like I feel like Mark Zuckerberg is doing his classic, oh, they're being successful, let me just steal that design. While Elon Musk, as much as I understand his engineering towards things, he needs to learn how to communicate. He's a very bad communicator when it comes to like implementing designs and what it's for. And I feel bad for his engineers that basically have to do damage control and explaining why they're doing these changes.
Yeah. Uh, Rewind for a second. The Mark Zuckerberg like doing this. What's interesting to me is like why now? Like I
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
like it's
especially he already has a text-based social network, which is Facebook. Like, why do you need
exact.
this?
Yeah, that's where my confusion lies. Like it's like why, why? Like I don't get it.
I think so. In my opinion, obviously this is just my
I
opinion. I don't
guess
know
is he
for
really trying to capitalize? Does he once again talk about knowing something that we don't know, right? Like, does he know something that he really feels very strong that like here's our opportunity to dare I say destroy Twitter, right? Because we know there's people upset about it, da 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 da. Like there has to be a strategicness to it, right? Like
so I'll tell you
because
the
it's
strategicness to it.
go
So
ahead.
this is actual facts. If you look at the data between like user interface, Twitter is the most used social media network all they're across the board. The second is Instagram, which yes, it is a Facebook company which they bought earlier, but
Mm-hmm.
there's still like independent things that they're still working on, so Facebook doesn't claim all the rights to it. And then Facebook is like moved significantly further down the line than it says. Like their user base is dying. Yes, people still use it, but it's mostly older people.
I'm glad it's dying. It's such a fucking cesspool. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, but no, this is the thing. So Mark Zuckerberg realized that Facebook is dying and that he's trying to figure out his next baby that he can like spend money on that he will get more money back like Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And he realized that people love the user interface for Twitter, how it's just text based, simple news feed, in and out, like, reply, whatever. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people use it. And
That's why I
because of
like
that,
it.
he was like, all right, well, let me just mimic that and make threads because everybody loves that format.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, people copy all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but him advertising, oh, it's going to be free and all that stuff, I'm like, but you didn't make Facebook like that. So why would I trust you're going to make threads like that?
Exactly. I mean, there was once upon a time, Facebook was, I'm not gonna say a glorious place, but it was a tolerable place. But to your point, it's gone so far the shitter. And to your point, like that's why I won't be making an account because like you have a track record. Even if it is good right now, I know what it'll eventually become.
Like the only reason
Absolutely
why
not.
I still have Instagram is because the people that originally owned Instagram, a lot of their top executives are still there. Once they sold it, they made a contract where they're still in there and they still have creative input. Obviously, Facebook still is like the parent company,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have creative control of what goes on in that company. That's why Instagram is so much better than Facebook and why they make the changes they do. That's not related towards Facebook. And it's gonna be interesting to see what Marcus Zuckerberg does because usually whenever he's like the captain of the ship, he always stares into an iceberg for some reason. But I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting to see. I feel like because we've seen so many like things, we've seen Blue Sky, Hive, Truth, so many social medias that popped up within the year. They're like, oh, it's gonna be the Twitter killer, and they just last like a month and die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like Thread's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, and I hope so. As a as a hater, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I'm still on Team Twitter. I like you said, I enjoy it for what it is. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Am I liking all the changes? Honestly, I've been virtually unaffected by them, so I don't really give a fuck. Am I reading all the dismay? Yes, but I get to laugh at it because I'm not a whale in this. Until it does, then I may have a stronger opinion. But yeah, so it'll and
Yeah.
how this goes moving forward.
One thing I love in Elon purposely like I'm not trying to be an Elon dick rider here, but like
Uh-huh.
he purposely memes them. He's like people always say like, "Oh, Twitter's dying on Twitter." I'm like, all you're doing is just feeding the interaction. You're making Twitter thrive. And I'm like, I don't think people realize how a company dies is by not using it instead of typing on that network.
Yeah,
Um,
I know. And yet the funny part, like it's the epitome of bad news is still good news.
yeah.
Like seriously, it's like
I know people are like, oh, since Elon took over, Twitter's dying. But literally, it's seen capital growth throughout the whole entire year, and it's actually more engaged than it's ever been before because of it. And I'm like, where are people getting their data that's dying? It's actually thriving.
they see like one or two of their celebrity people finally have enough and quit it, and they think it's dying. That's what happens,
Yeah, it's
but
just
it's
funny.
not.
But it is weird seeing that, like, the whole, like, oh, uh, rate limit exceeded. Like, for the majority of people using Twitter, no one, even 600, 800, most people won't hit that in a day. And this is obviously a day limit. So people that were hitting them, like, you have no life if you're scrolling through that. Like, the only time I will deem it acceptable is if you literally have to do it for your job. But
Uh-huh.
then there's literal organization accounts you can create if you're a business. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're not making an organization account, then why even pretending you're, a social media worker?
So going back to the maximum allotment or whatever, like I don't think I'll ever hit it either. But one thing that I was to understanding of, and maybe you could clarify this. So is it specifically new tweets, or if you're like scrolling and you refresh, and you're refresh like as you're checking them hypothetically, 5 new ones, but you're going through some old ones again, just sure. Are those counting, or is it only strictly new ones?
See, that I don't know because I didn't do enough
Okay.
research on that.
Okay. Because that's what I was curious about. Because it's like, you know, I don't know if maybe this has something to do with my settings, but the way I've seen how Twitter has kind of changed, and I know it has to do with his stuff, and that's fine. But like I noticed, like a new tweet could be hitting amongst old, makes sense, right? So as you're scrolling, I'm like, oh, that one's new. Why wasn't it up here? So that's why I asked that question because I've noticed.
Well, this is also the interesting thing too. So there's literally two tabs. There's the For You page, and then there's the
Mm-hmm,
following page. And I don't
mm-hmm.
know if it counts for the For You page or the following one. I think it counts for only one of them.
It's funny because like I never really
Yeah, one
noticed
one of
that.
them only shows the feed of people you're following, and the other one is people that you're following and networking with, so you can get like a broader search recognition.
Interesting. Yeah, because okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because the For You one will be um the connection of the ones you do follow, right? So.
It's funny. I'm not gonna go too far into this only because my current job that I have is literally understanding search algorithms, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I've been practicing on Twitter, and literally I'm getting like hundreds of thousands of like likes and posts now because I'm understanding the algorithm now.
Mm.
Like I'm pretty sure you see my recent tweets getting like thousands of likes and all that stuff, and that's because
I,
I'm literally learning from my job.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't, but I'm gonna take note of it.
Yeah, look at my replies and you'll see like hundreds of thousands of views. Like with the Henry Cavill one that you try to reply to, if you look at that one, that literally has thousands of ones. Yeah, I've been practicing because what I've been learning recently is that a lot of these companies use third party web services and video production streaming services, and because Periscope's being brought back, I'm also working with Twitter a little bit for this. So literally while I'm
Dick
working, I get
Rider.
yeah, well, yeah, but I'm also doing it with Facebook too. Like I help with their video thing as well.
Double Dick Rider.
But I think it's cool that literally a job feeds into another thing that I'm doing because I literally have to learn it to make that service better.
Well, see, but the beauty is not only you're learning for your job, but you're learning it for personal
Person,
gain.
yeah.
But not purposely intended. It happens that you're gaining additional knowledge. So, out of mana podcast, up we go.
So far, I've only mastered the reply algorithm. The
Okay,
individual post algorithm, I'm still trying to figure out because those are working off two different things.
interesting.
But yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of little cogs that are moving, little
Mm-hmm.
intricacy things,
Mm-hmm.
and Yeah, seeing how social media is going, I'm just surprised that they're popping in left and right, and then you could tell which social media has very little developers by the way it loads and scrolls. And
Mm.
Thread, even based backed off of Facebook, it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. Like Hive, like I said, I went through all of them. Hive is dead because it doesn't even load at all. Threads is even with a AAA studio or a company, I should say, it's still not even good.
And you said you also, because like you mentioned, you'll create it new, just not the same.
Your mic is cutting out. All I heard was you're gonna do something, and that's it.
I said you stated earlier how you check it. So you also had you had a Truth account, right?
Yes.
So how is that one functioning these days? If you happen to log in recently.
So I do log in once in a while just to check things because things that are hidden on Twitter, which are no longer hidden anymore because Elon took over. But you see extremists on that side.
Mm,
But oddly enough, Truth, that's been backed up by Trump, is actually performing better than Threads.
interesting.
But
That's
it also
funny.
has the benefit of being out for almost nearly a year. So
That's still funny.
yeah, dude, interaction, like if you're like a political person, Truth is where you want to be.
Interesting.
Like even if you are like a Democrat or whatever,
Uh-huh.
because let's be honest, Truth is more for Republican extremists that only want Dick ride Trump, which
Yeah.
I'll admit to that.
Yeah.
But even if you're not for Trump and you go on Truth, you're still getting loads of engagements. Obviously, they're going to be against you, but you're getting loads of engagements.
Like you're gonna be outnumbered. You might like that.
Yeah, like you're getting likes, views, whatever. Even if it's like a retweet just to say I hate you, you're getting that interaction.
Your life might be threatened, but hey, you're gonna get a lot of that.
But that's the only problem with Truth. Like if it wasn't centered around politics, it really could be a competitor. But because it's only politics on there, that's where
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna fail. And while Twitter, it's everything. It's news, media, gaming, politics, entertainment, whatever you can think of, it's there.
Yeah, that's everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
And so
Well,
far, Threads, when I log on, it's all about memes about Twitter, which is hilarious.
yeah, I can only imagine it's just like a bashing ground right now for people so anti Twitter / Elon, and but whatever.
It's funny. Besides the memes, I have seen a lot of. This is at 100% Facebook kicking in here. There's a lot of racial slurs being put into Threads because there's not a
Mm,
lot of mitigation in there. So
mm-hmm.
you are literally. I'm not gonna call them Nazis, but you're seeing Nazi-like behavior on there,
Mm.
and most of them.
And that's why I got off Facebook, man. Because like, I mean, I didn't see a lot of it, but like I said, man, it was a dark fucking road, man. Every damn day, like so negative, and I'm just like this isn't good for my mental health. Like I'm done. Now, like I said, Twitter isn't rainbows, butterflies, but it is far less than what Facebook had become.
So obviously you heard of the term doom scrolling, right? Where people
Um,
purposely look at things that are like negative, like the war, the world's gonna end, or famine, drought, plague is all happening all over. That
I
obviously
mean,
feeds a negative.
I've yeah, no, honestly, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Never
But
heard of doom scrolling?
yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that, to be honest. But it doesn't surprise me that people I don't think you really statement, but are you insinuating that people gravitate towards that?
Yeah, they purposely
Yeah,
feed themselves with bad news. Like
yeah,
even if it's not about like
yeah,
the end of the world, it's like,
yeah.
oh, this person broke up with that person. They just keep going down a negative
I know,
loophole.
and that's such to me. That's such a high school mentality that just some people don't fucking grow out of, and that's not me. Like I mean, I don't get me wrong. I could be immature a lot, even on this podcast, but I also know there's a place for it.
We
This
also know there's a
podcast.
distinction between reality versus internet and playful.
Exactly, and that's the problem, and I think that's a problem for the generation that didn't grow with the internet. Like we're not off by many years, but I feel like we grew with the
Yeah,
like
we were the
we
hybrid
were
version where we got real life with the internet.
exactly like we I grew up with the AOL days, all that shit.
Yes.
So like
I remember going to Best Buy getting the free 30-day trial with the CD.
exactly right. So like we have a different perspective and appreciation and respect for the internet, and some people don't.
Well, even if it's
Um,
not just young, older people do this too. So
yeah,
recently, I
yeah.
just discovered this term because I befriended a group of girls that I'm now talking to because of some odd reason, um, and I learned a new term that a lot of girls are doing nowadays. And this is social media. Is if you think it's bad for guys, it's really bad for girls. They do something called ego surfing, and that's where they purposely post pictures of themselves for validation, and they purposely look for a reply to get themselves to like get a better mood. And if they don't get that, then they're just sulking all day.
Oh, that's just typical women.
I had no idea that ego surfing was a thing, that they purposely do that to hype themselves up because they don't have it in their actual real life self.
Oh yeah, I mean they that's once again that's the high school mentality. Like,
And these are 30-year-old women.
no, no, I get that, but like that's uh, once again high school mentality stuff where like that self love is very important, and uh but if you're that not in tune with yourself, and that to your point, you need that self esteem. Like I don't know, like God help you, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm not sure if you see my interactions because I have a couple uh,
No, I don't see
female
all
friend
your.
streamers, but I'm very careful on how I comment on their post versus I do for a male
I
post.
I do notice you're a lot more conservative. Yes.
Yes,
Uh,
because
and that's why I generally, maybe once or twice throughout the whole, I don't piggyback on those. When I want to, sometimes very hard, but I know, like, no, that's you're doing, you're doing your thing, whatever.
but but I also am very careful with what I'm saying because I
No,
hate
I see that.
I hate girls that think that I'm trying to flirt when I'm actually just trying to be nice. So I'm just
Uh-huh.
like, oh hey, nice shirt or cool jersey or oh
Mm-hmm.
that's an interesting food. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
never say oh you look cute. I'll never say that
Mm-hmm.
to a girl. I'll just be like oh nice outfit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never compliment their actual look except for like an individual piece of clothing or something whatever because I don't want them to get a big head or to think I'm doing something else. Because
Mm-hmm.
girls, they like to misinterpret a lot of things. And I know that's going to sound sexist, but it's true.
And especially in today's world, like, and I feel like, you know, I'll just say, like, guys got it bad at times where it's like, that could damage you.
Yeah.
And why even entertain or have the for that to happen? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but it's just funny, man. Like because of like Johnny Depp, Henry Cavill, and all that stuff, dude. I'm like, I'm treading water here. Like if I'm talking to like a female online, I'm just like, oh hey, look it, nice to see you, chap. How you doing?
Yeah, and like all these people, and I know it's every single social media, but you know, I'll say it like this: that do shoot their shot and go wherever the want to call, talk how you were just saying. Bless you guys. You keep doing your thing. I'm not.
It's
It's
funny.
not worth it. It's
I
not worth it.
if I wasn't trying to build something on the internet, because obviously I'm treating this
Correct.
like a job, I
Yeah.
might be more like that. But because I'm trying to actually be professional here, that's why I'm more cognizant of what I say.
Well, like, unless that's really, really and truly your lifestyle, or you're already made, like, no one's untouchable. Let me start there. But like, how, some people obviously get egos, so that they'll act differently. Even with that said, it's like, to your point, it's like, you're trying to establish something. Like, everybody in this world has skeletons in the closet, and people love to dig that up, love to dig it up, like they're working two jobs. So knowing what we want for each other and ourselves, why have that anywhere?
Yeah.
Um, but hey, to those that don't give a fuck, bless your hearts, keep doing your thing. But
Yeah, yo, Drake figured it out though. I'm just saying. He learned that he's
oh yeah,
got.
he's painting his fingernails pink now. So I mean, of course he got it.
No, I'm just saying he figured it out. He's like he's shooting his shot, but he's also making sure there's protection, and that protection is hot sauce.
Dude. Who else told me that like not too long ago? And I'm like, that is fucked up, man.
But he knows he's smart enough to know that people, because of his money and his status, they're gonna try
Yeah,
using whatever advantage they can to tie
yeah,
themselves with them. And he's like, all
yeah,
right, put some hot sauce on that chicken.
yeah, yeah. It's
We roasting Arby's meat out here.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, man. I mean, that's why, like, I mean, I think we talked about this briefly before, but like, especially in the celebrity world, like, NDAs are very popular. Whether or not they hold water is a point of contention.
I had no
Uh,
idea that most, well, obviously I'm not gonna say most celebrities, but like I said, I watched a lot of documentaries, and there was something about Tommy Lee Jones that
mm,
literally he had his agent made the girl sign consent forms and NDAs, so if anything does happen, they can't go against Tommy Lee Jones because
right.
of how much he had sex with women. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
that's good looking out. That literally, if you're gonna hook up with these celebrities, you literally have to sign a contract.
yeah. No, that's like, I mean, I'm saying it like it's commonplace, like I'm a fucking celebrity because I'm not, but I've read the articles and it does sound like it's commonplace. It's like you're a peasant and you want to fuck me? Okay, fine. Sign this, we can fuck.
Yeah, and if not, then sorry, kick you to the curb. There's another one right behind you.
Exactly. Or you could get the security guard if you're that horny. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, it sounds like that's commonplace.
I mean, it's like as much as people like to bash on celebrities, old original, so they shouldn't care.
It's
They gotta,
smart.
they gotta save
They got
themselves.
protect. Yeah, gotta protect themselves.
Yeah,
And like I sound like a scumbag for saying this, but I understand it. Like
I do too.
I just that's the world we live in.
Like you earned
If
that, you
people
protect it. Don't let somebody take it from you.
if people could appreciate the moment and not use it as collateral damage, then maybe NDAs wouldn't be necessary.
I just want to know where he figured out the hot sauce idea. Like literally, he had to pick it up from somebody, and I'm thinking it
Oh
was
yeah,
Usher that did it the first time.
yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? I'm sure when you're in that circle, you probably learn a lot of good things.
Yeah,
A
Chris Brown
lot
has
of
his
good
left
things.
hook.
There's things that you don't learn in any if you're in that echelon of the world. It's the reason why the rich stay rich for the most part, unless they're really fucking dumb.
Yeah,
There's a reason why they stay rich, and there's
or they get suicided.
generational rich, or yeah, or that drugs and suicide. Yeah, like they know and they talk and they teach each other and they teach their kids.
Yeah.
So until you find a way to get into that inner circle, so to speak, and learn.
And it's funny that you're saying this because I literally had this conversation about somebody because they're all for education, which I am too. But when it comes to colleges, when people go to like those Ivy League colleges, they don't go
Mhm.
there to learn. They go there for the connection. They find somebody that's connected, and they buddy up to them so they can get connected, and then they work in there. It's not about what you know; it's
It's
about who you know.
yes, it. People thought, I guess our parents' generation thought maybe that was going to change. It hasn't changed one bit.
Yeah, they're like, if you work hard, I'm like, no, it
It's
doesn't matter
still.
how hard you
I
work.
mean, you could still like. I think I mean, I'm no fucking millionaire, but like, I feel like I've worked hard and I've earned a great deal for what I have in my life. So I will still argue if you work hard,
If you work hard, you
you'll
can make a comfortable living. But if you want that wealth,
yes,
you either have to be a genius or you have to suck up to somebody.
or fuck people along the way. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. I mean like you're gonna you're gonna burn some bridges.
Mark Zuckerberg's a perfect example.
Reds, baby. So yeah, it's an interesting world.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear what people think about Threads because I still have this opinion, even though it's backed by a huge company. I still think it's going to crash and fail just because most people don't like Facebook. Most people that do transition will eventually learn that is Facebook really in Twitter format, and seeing that's going to be paid and basically do what Twitter does, they're going to be like, oh, we just traded one thing for the same thing. um,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I created an account just simply because I have this mentality where just try it because you never know. Maybe that might be the next big thing and just use it. But I still have the opinion that it's just there as a temporary trend, whatever, and then that's
Correct.
Twitter.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't see myself making it. Much like when Facebook first rose to its popularity, I stood on MySpace for an ungodly length of time. I was probably one of the last people to merge over to Facebook, and same with Twitter. I didn't have Twitter, for a long time. Um, but eventually tried it. The only ones I didn't ever did was Instagram and Snapchat. I don't know who may still are their own entity, but no Vine, no TikTok, no Hive, no Truth,
I'm
none of
gonna be
that.
honest. So Snapchat is not a social media thing. It's a hookup app. That's what it is. Like I can't tell you how many times where girls be like, "Oh yeah, give me a Snapchat." I'm like, if they say give me your Snapchat, you know that you're not looking for a serious relationship. You're looking for a hoe there. I won't be honest. That's seriously what it is. You ain't looking for a wife on that app. You're just looking for a quick thing, and that's it. Move on.
Now I know what I need to download. Thank you.
I mean, it's better than any dating app. I'm telling you, man.
There you go. Looks like I know what I'm doing tonight.
But I was gonna say something. God, what was it? I forgot. But yeah, no. That's gonna be interesting. Like I said, I do have a Threads account. If you want to follow me, it's Joshua Cast. And we'll see if it's the last. If it doesn't, then I'll move back. Whatever.
It's been mysteriously deleted. Like, what are you talking about? I've never had an account there.
Dude, I still have all my accounts because just like that one time where you think it dies off and then blows up, because that's happened before. Oh, speaking of what I was going to tell you, or what I was going to go back to, MySpace. I wish I never touched that site ever. That's where I got my weird taste of girls. That's where you got those emo girls with that black hair, that weird checkered chessboard colored belt, and that what was it?
Suspenders.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, I'm still in the era, man. But that site did teach me how to do HTML.
Yes, those were the good old days.
Yeah, you literally had to learn how to code to like make your own page and all that stuff, which was kind of funny.
See, it was actually something that taught you something.
Dude, those old internet chat rooms, you had to code in order to do stuff. You had to do CSS, HTML, JavaScript, depending on the site.
Yeah, JavaScript. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's fun going through the history of chat boards and messages. It's
the interwebs.
It's progressed a long ways. We can move on to the next one, which is Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. You're gonna make me keep going.
I was gonna wait till you stopped.
So I watched the trailer right before we started our podcast. It was fresh as today, so I felt the need to get myself educated. And obviously, I mean, you saw it, and I don't know if you heard my oohs and ahs watching it, but a couple cool things that I noticed. One, Scorpion Sub-Zero as Palsy Wells. Pretty cool. I saw the one tag team move where, because everything obviously is mostly centered around offense, right? But when Scorpion did the get over here as a defensive, like get away from that move, I was like, oh, okay, like that's different. That's cool. That's a new Stratego move. So I thought that was really cool. Seeing more of the what would that be called? What do they call them? The combat the side guys that aren't really fully playable.
Oh, cameo characters.
Cameo characters. Thank you. Showing more cameo characters. Obviously, Scorpion, Sub-Zero. Then they did Smoke. I don't really know how much his appearance. I every time I think of Smoke, I just think the original gray with the smoke around him. But they'll probably have that one classic combat uniforms or whatever. Rain, I thought looked really cool. Very new look that
they definitely changed his look. MK10 they changed it before, but this one he looks like a water wizard. That's all.
Yeah,
he looks like.
I think it's cool though.
I like it.
It fits. It's kind of has like a.
He even has his staff.
Yeah, it has like a Prince of Persia / I know we talk a lot of Diablo, but it has like the wizard and necromancer. Yeah. So I thought that was cool, and then they showed Cyrus, and throughout the whole trailer, I was, give me Ermac, give me Ermac, give me Ermac. No Ermac. So since they didn't show him as a cameo character, maybe he'll be.
Well, they've only showed 25% of the roster.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to be seen.
I'm a big Ermac. I like Ermac, so I'm hoping maybe he's an actual playable character. Let's see what else was notoriety of that trailer. I mean, it looked good. I just like
That trailer showed a
Oh,
lot that I think a lot of people missed.
oh, I'm sure. Like, I mean, I just watched it the one time right before the podcast, so I didn't like fully consume it, like for Easter eggs and whatnot. Like, but there was some interesting stuff. Like I said, the huge takeaway for me was that defensive get over here. Like, I was like floored by that. That was like, okay, that's cool. How is that going to be utilized more with other cameo characters, right? Like that was eye opening for me.
So going just to that part because there's still a lot of things I want to talk about with the trailer.
Yep.
So with the cameo characters, because I actually played the stress test. If you pre-ordered and you signed up for like a certain thing, it was limited to only certain people. I got to play the game early, and I played the best. Like I actually versed Sonic Fox, Goichi, and a lot of those pro players, which I got bodied. But because I
Wait,
versed them, yeah,
wait a minute. Were you able to stream this?
I could have, but I didn't because during the time this was one of my stream things where I was running our video, so I didn't get a chance to stream it. I just
Oh,
played
okay.
it.
Okay.
But because even though I was playing against the good guys, I seen how the characters are supposed to be played. You can play the cameo characters either aggressive, you could do it defensively, or you could do it to break. So like let's say I'm attacking you. So the cameo characters are supposed to complement your character. Like let's say you have a character that is not good with projectiles, you want to get a cameo character that can throw or at least move you quicker. Like Kung Lao. If you have a character that is horrible with movement, Kung Lao, you can use him to teleport yourself back and forth to different locations. And like I said, you could do it for movement. You could use it so like let's say if somebody is doing a combo on you and you can't get out of it, you can't block. You could literally use your cameo character to break that. I would use a bar or something like that, but you could literally use cameo characters any way to either be aggressive, defensive, movement,
Hmm.
special attacks, whatever. And I think they took one of the best aspects that Dragon Ball Fighter Z had and Capcom versus Marvel had. Because if you played any of those games, they allowed you to play with multiple characters, but you actually had to play with those characters. But sometimes you could like tag team them in and out. This one is still
Hmm.
a one-on-one character, but you allow
Hmm.
that second character to come in and combo or uncombo certain things, which I think is like the best of both worlds on that one. So seeing the gameplay was fun, and also seeing the different combos. Like let's say you're Man Scorpion, but you keep changing your cameo character.
Hmm.
The combos with that changes every time
Also
depending on your
change. Yeah.
character. Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
it's really cool. They really put a lot of effort into this, which is fantastic to see.
Cool. Cool. So, are you still able to play that stress test, or is that stress test
No,
over?
it was only for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, it's done now. I think
Interesting.
the beta is coming up in August, and if you pre-order it, you have access to it.
Gotcha. And not to go too far off topic, but remind me, what platform did you buy it on again?
PS5.
PS5. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, what were your other takeaways from? Oh, you got to play it.
So I only play the combat, but for the
Okay.
story, I think a lot of people pass this up. So if you see the new trailer that just came out today, which is hilarious because I'm convinced that Liu Kang doesn't know what Scorpion is. Because in the thing it says, "Oh, hey, look, it's Lin Kuei." Scorpion is not Lin Kuei; he's the Shirai Ryu. So I'm convinced that Liu Kang had no idea what Scorpion really was, and he was like, "All right, fuck it, new timeline, you're Lin Kuei now."
Pretty much.
So because of this, they have a huge emphasis on Scorpion Sub Zero,
Hmm.
and they have them playing side by side with each other. And
Hmm.
that makes me think that the campaign version of the game is going to be like a Shaolin Monks game, where it could be two-player co-op. You're going through the game and you're fighting people, and eventually you're gonna have like these boss sections where it's either gonna be like a 1v1 or 2-on-2, whatever. And I think that's kind of cool. That's just my takeaway of it because they purposely showed both of them attacking at the same time, and every single
Now,
shot.
but like, to counter your point a little bit here, and not, but like, do you think those shots were more like cutscene than rather gameplay oriented?
Oh, it's
Kind
definitely
of like,
cutscene. It's 100% cutscene. But they've
yeah,
done that with Shaolin Monks too, where you have your classic gameplay where you're roaming around, but then sometimes it goes to like a 2-on-2 cutscene where you
yeah.
have Liu Kang, Kung Lao moving through things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird that they purposely showed both of them together working in unison.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. But I think that was like, once again, I thought that was kind of cool because it's obviously not what we're used to seeing, right? So now it's like it's kind of like, well, it is a different timeline, but it's like, oh, they're bros, and on top of it, Smoke seems to be.
Yeah, so I don't know. Is this Smoke Bihan? Because I know that
The original Smoke was supposed to be the first dead. Sub-Zero, right? Does memory serves me
Yeah, and
correct?
Bihan
Doesn't
was
that
the
seem to
first
be?
Sub-Zero.
See, you know more than I do. I don't remember them by name.
But
Like
I
actual.
think what I read is that the Sub-Zero we see now is actually Bihan, which is kind of weird because then where's the younger brother? Also, if the younger brother smoke now.
Let's see that. I don't know. I'm
That's what
not. I'm
I'm
not.
curious about because like one if Scorpion is now Lin Kuei, that'd be hilarious
Mhm.
because that would mean like I said, Liu Kang had no idea what he was.
Hmm.
But then two, how the brother dynamic's gonna go because like if you even like with the second timeline, it went that Bihan, the first Sub Zero, killed Scorpion's family. The Shirai Ryu had executed him, and then Scorpion died, and then he came back for vengeance from Quan Chi, and then eventually he killed Bihan, and then his brother came to take his brother's place as the new Sub Zero, and that's where the rivalry came in. And then eventually Noob Saibot was Bihan coming back as a revenant.
Oh, that's someone they didn't show too. Is Noob. Um.
Well, they can't if Bihan's still alive. Noob Saibot is literally Bihan.
Well, I mean, they're kind of seems like they're changing some things up, but is it? I would have to watch the trailer again. But have they really shown anything to convey that Scorpion is like a resurrected version of Scorpion? Like, I'm trying to remember. I don't think they really showed him like that much. How can I put it? Like he seems more human-like, right?
But that's his weird thing because they literally show you a screenshot of him taking his face off to do the skeleton thing, and he could only do that after he died. Like he still had like the rope
Correct.
thing coming out because of his ninja
Yeah.
abilities, but he didn't have the fire ability until he died. So I don't know. I'm telling you, I think when Liu Kang made this timeline, he like I said, he had no idea what Scorpion really was. So he's just like, "Fuck it, you have fire powers and you're Lin Kuei now."
Yeah. Interesting.
But also going back to it, I know I said this theory before, but you know how people are like trying to speculate on who the bad guy is. People are
Hmm.
saying that it's going to be Onaga, which I think Onaga will be in this game to counter Liu Kang. But if you see them at the beginning, Sub Zero and Scorpion have a dialogue saying, "Why should we be the protectors of Earthrealm when we should be leading them?" And I think that's
I'll
the
look them up. They could be bad guys both
yeah,
together.
like how
Or they
they're going to
start
eventually
off
become
good, but they both turn at the same time.
yeah, they're going to turn into the new deadly alliance of Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, but Scorpion Sub Zero. And then hearing Liu Kang talk about how it's either my way or you're gone, it almost
Hmm.
sounds like he's a tyrant. So I have a feeling that really the good guys that we thought we had before are now really going to be the bad guys in this timeline, and like General Khan or General Shao, which he's no longer Shao Kahn because he's a general now, which he might be a good guy, and you might see Onaga versus Liu Kang to counter the balance here. I don't know.
Hmm.
These are just my theories here. I just feel like Liu Kang and the Scorpion and Sub Zero are gonna be bad guys.
Or if the story could be, since there's like a lot of these what ifs, the story is that immerse where you have these multiple endings. It's like really good Liu Kang, really bad Liu Kang, etc. Maybe there's a lot of that going, which would be very cool. But the only downfall things like when you play it, it's kind of cool, right? Because it gives it more replay value. You know, oh, which ending was better. But in reality, when you further in the story, then it leaves more question marks. It's like, okay, which one's the or which is going to be the canon one. Um,
Yeah, because they
so who
keep
knows?
messing with storyline too. Because they keep on saying like connections are gonna be different. Like they showed Melina Katana twice,
Correct.
and
And they
one they
seem to
showed
be.
the one they showed Melina turning into the bad guy, and the other one they showed Katana turning into the bad guy.
Hmm.
So are they gonna add player choice where like depending on what your
Hmm.
choice is? I don't know.
Correct.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what they've been alluding to with both trailers, right? Like the first major one and now today's. Like it's definitely seems to be the narrative. And that would, like I said, I think that'd be fun for this game. But if you are someone that wants to actually do enjoy the story arc, that may, I don't want to say ruin it, but it obviously makes more questions. But I think from a player standpoint for this game.
Yeah, I think I'm more just interested in the story because they're like, because Ed Boon teased a lot of Shaolin monks during the lead up to this, and I feel like the only reason why he did that is because the story has to be somewhat Shaolin monks esque was playstyle, like kind of like a
Hmm.
conquest mode.
Hmm.
But going back to the story is like, we kind of seen how this played out. Like, I know you didn't play MKX, I know you didn't play
Mm-hmm.
MK11,
Mm-hmm.
but we've seen the swaps. We've seen the swaps happen where in MK9, Katana, Liu Kang, and all that stuff, they died, and then MK10 and 11, they were bad guys because they were the Revenant. They were the dead versions of themselves,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
controlled by Shinnok and Quan Chi.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because they played around with that idea, they're like, all right, let's see. We'll create a custom timeline and see who does what now.
Yeah, like you said, let the player kind of control the narrative for as much as they can. But give me, I mean, I'm looking forward to whatever whatever they give us. And once again, I just want to see, uh, so we could have a ton of unlockables.
I just want to say I love how they did Raiden. Raiden looks so weird in this game because he looks like a classic monk. Like
Yeah,
he
he
has
just
his
looks
hair,
like
white
a
outfit, and he's
like
got
a
a slight
boring
thing.
dude. He seems like a boring dude.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah. Like, what happened to me? I used to be this almighty powerful god, and now I'm a farmer hand
Yeah.
with electricity.
Yeah, it's just weird seeing these like technically like godlike deities, but now they're like now in human mortal form, but yet they still retain
Yeah.
their powers. It's like,
Yeah.
why is Luke Kang giving it to them?
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Luke Cage kind of like kind of did his own Shang Tsung. Instead of taking the souls, he's taking powers and keeping some and redistributing others.
but have you noticed that they're purposely hiding Liu Kang a lot in these trailers? Like they only showed him once when he did that fatality on Shang Tsung, but about any other scene, he's purposely been avoided. You hear a voice, but that's about it.
Yeah, you're right. But it's in similar fashion to kind of like Raiden in the previous installments, right? Like it's like we know his role per se, but he's not the main dude, right?
Well, technically, he is the main dude. He's the reason why both
Well,
timelines happened.
no. I understand that narrative, but what I mean from a selling standpoint, right? Like he's not your face,
But then at the
and it's
same time,
kind
if that's the case, then why put him on the front cover of your game?
well, Liu Kang's a little bit different. I mean, Raiden, like in similar fashion to how you're saying the utilization in trailers. I remember it being similar to Raiden in trailers, at least from my remembrance. Once again, I haven't played them all either. But to your point, like in this one, yes, they do have Liu Kang still on the cover, statue bust or whatever it is with the collectors. All that. But like, I don't know. I just think like from a trailer, if he's taken that god deity role, okay, who's the new Liu, right? So it's kind of like
And that's where we see Raiden's
it's
new
free.
Liu Kang.
It's well, no, it's like almost free range. Like it's almost like well, anybody at this point.
Yeah.
Especially the way they've been selling Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I mean, even in the first go-around trailer, they're kind of
they're like the ultimate guards right there. Like they are the
yeah,
powerful people that are riding with Liu Kang through godhood.
yeah, which is so different, right? And it's good in a way because they're really utilizing their powerhouse characters, right?
Do you know what I realized? I think canonically, I always mess that word up. I don't think Liu Kang ever voiced Scorpion or Sub-Zero. I think those were the only two opponents he never fought, like in the actual storyline.
Hmm. Interesting.
I have all the games, so I literally could just do like one solid playthrough of all of them and see. But I think he never versed him because he was supposed to verse Sub-Zero at one point on Shang Tsung's island, but then Scorpion came out and interrupted that fight, and he took over the fight. And Sub-Zero and Scorpion versed each other. And then Johnny Cage is, I think, one of the only people that lived that fought Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So Johnny Cage is the only one that actually fought both of them and still lived. So, but I don't think Liu Kang ever versed them, which is kind of funny.
Interesting. And to your point, it makes sense because they were always, at heads, and it's like, no, he's mine. No, he's mine. Because I do remember that happening a lot. But
Now,
yeah.
dude, now I think about it, it's so fitting because when you watch the trailer, who is Sub-Zero and Scorpion both fighting in the trailer? They're both fighting Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage, yeah, and Stryker, and who was the other person? There was a third. Crap, I can't remember. But
Yeah, because Stryker got killed by Scorpion, right? He got burnt by him.
like you said, canonically, I don't know.
Yeah, I need to go back, but Yeah, it was just when now I think about, I'm like, oh, dude, it's like the perfect like nostalgic throwback of the only
Yeah,
one that actually fought both those characters was literally Johnny Cage, and they gang beat him in the trailer.
yeah. They messed up his glasses.
But I will say, as much as I love the old Johnny Cage, the new Johnny Cage relook, the one that's supposed to be like a Van Damme, is beautiful. I love the look. I love the style of him. How he flaunts his abilities. The Johnny Cage might be my main in this game.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't. Well, we'll have to see what the character list is. I mean, Scorpion's always definitely one of my first go to.
Oh,
It's
he's
like
my main in
it's
MKX.
it's like Ryu in Street Fighter. It's like you know how he's gonna play. You instantly know his move. Easy jump in. Let's start. As far as actually, like I said, Ermac. I love me some Ermac. Um, I
So
always liked also Cyrax, and I don't.
your mic keeps cutting in. Is your threshold like really low on your mic? Is that why it's cutting out?
My threshold?
Yeah.
I
So
don't think so.
you actually have like a noise gain, which is your threshold. Like if you speak like a certain decimal lower, it just cuts off
Oh,
completely.
it's possible. That's why, like, every time you tell me, I get closer to my mic, or I could even probably even move it closer to me, so I'm more comfortable. That could be it. It could be it. I just I would have to look at my settings. So,
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, going back to what you're saying with Skyrax and well, not it's not
Sector,
Sector. Triborg is when
yeah.
they were fused together, right?
Oh, I didn't know there was a fused together version.
Yeah, Triborg is all three of them. That's why it's called Triborg for three. All three
Oh,
of them put
I've
together.
never. No, I don't think I've ever seen that one. Wait. Who's the third one? Because I know Smoke had a robot form too.
It was probably him then,
Oh, maybe. Okay.
because literally all three of them get turned to the Link Way gets turned to robots, and then after that,
Hmm.
all three of them get fused into one, which is called Triborg, and
I've
he has
never
the
seen that
abilities of
one.
all three of them.
I'm gonna
He's
have to
been in like
Google
three
that.
of the games.
Really? I've never seen that one. Uh, did they show Reptile at all?
I don't think so. But I know the two
Okay.
robots they show as cameo characters, so they're not going to be playable at all.
Yeah, that's what I figured, which kind of sucks, but
But who
it
knows?
makes
We
sense.
didn't see the full list, so maybe they might be playable.
True. I mean, it makes sense though because they both assist with like the projectile portion that we're talking about, like how and why you'd want to utilize cameo characters. So, so that would kind of make sense a little bit because they both definitely assist with projectiles.
So going back to what we'd like to see, I know you're a huge Remek fan, which I do too, because he has a really fun grapple ability.
Oh, his move set is just so versatile.
Well, if you
Like,
played MKX, dude, he has range on his attacks.
I mean, he has it all. Like, yeah, I just love that character.
So characters I would love to see is I'd love to see Striker because I feel like he's one of those characters that don't get utilized that
He
often.
looked he looked like a cameo in the trailer.
See, well, cameo characters like they have Liu Kang and some of the other characters as cameo characters, but they're also still playable characters. So just because they're a cameo character
Oh,
doesn't mean they're necessarily cut out. Like
okay, good
Scorpion
to
and
know.
Sub Zero are also
No,
cameo characters too, but they're
gotcha,
playable.
gotcha, understood.
Um, but I feel like because they took out Jackson, they took out Sonya, they got to have a police enforcer there. So Striker makes a lot of sense. Unless they
Hmm.
make a new character. I have this weird thing for Boraichu just because I like the drunken master playstyle.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. Hmm.
Because he would throw up on the floor and then you'd slip. What was the other guy? The guy that was the opposite of the black dragons, the red dragon guy. I think his name was Cabal or something, where he had the meat hooks in his hands.
Oh, Cabal, yeah.
I
Yeah,
like to
he was
see him as a
pretty good
character.
too. Yeah, he was pretty good.
And what's that vampire girl?
Vampire Girl.
It's not Scarlet.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about. She had
I
wings.
Shiva?
No, Shiva's
Oh,
the no, I forgot what she's called.
Vampire Girl. Mm. I
Somebody
was thinking
someone would
Shiva.
probably say it.
Oh
Shiva's not
no,
the vampire.
Shiva's the forearm chick.
Yes, and there's another
Uh,
forearm chick, but she's like a cheetah looking girl. But this
yes.
one, she only has two arms, and she literally has wings on her back.
I,
Or,
I, I could picture her, and I can't think of the name, but I'm sure once I hear it,
here, let
but
me look this up. Mortal Kombat.
you're gonna you cheetah,
Mortal Kombat vampire girl. What's her
And
name?
in the first trailer, they did show Goro, right? I think, or was it
Natara.
Natara?
Well,
Natara.
if you see her thing, she is fine.
Ah, maybe I don't remember. Maybe I really was thinking.
She hasn't been in any of the new games. I think the last game she was in was Armageddon. So it's been
And I
over
and
like
I
like 2 decades.
and I, Armageddon might have been the last one I played, if I'm being honest. Uh, no, I think there's one after that one.
Well, the one after Armageddon was Mortal Kombat 9, which was just called Mortal Kombat.
Okay, then Armageddon might have been the last one I played. Then, holy shit, it's been a while. I feel like I'm repopping my cherry.
Wait, so you never played MK9, X, or 11?
No, it's been a while since I played MK, dude. It's been a while.
Wow.
Yeah, I fell off. I mean, like, just me, my personal opinion here. Like, I felt like the last few installments to me weren't like something so like, oh my god, I gotta get this one.
Gameplay wise, I would disagree with you. Story wise, MK9 and 10 were the only good ones. MK11 went way too far off the rails with introducing Titans and weird time travel, even though 10 already had time travel, but they fucked it up even more by taking away the characters that already pre existed from them.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah, so
this is a good time to get in.
yeah, no, I mean, well, they're in a sense, like I said, they're rehashing it or rebooting. Their label is number one, so yeah, I think. Were you done with your wants or your
Oh,
hopefuls?
this is a weird want, but I don't know if it's gonna play like MK11 or if it's gonna play like the
Mm-hmm.
old Nightwolf. But
Mm-hmm.
I want Nightwolf in. If it plays like
Nightwolf, yeah, he was pretty
MK9,
cool. Yeah.
um,
Uh,
what's the guy that was with Raiden? It was basically his elder god brother, the guy that did win. Damn it! Now I gotta look his name. See, there's so many names that I can't remember. Um, Raiden, Raiden's elder god one brother. Fujin. I wonder if Fujin's gonna be in the game because he was in MKX, but as like an appearance character, not like a playable character, and that's the only time he's been reintroduced since the whole NetherRealm took over.
interesting.
Because I mean, they have Rain, and Rain was kind of like a DLC character for MKX. So why can't we see Fujin as well? Because there, you got Rain. Why not get Wind in there?
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
technically got Smoke. So
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, and you got Lightning with Raiden. Yeah, I think outside of whether or not did they show Goro in the first trailer? I can't remember, but like, I think he's a staple. You got to have Goro at some point.
they haven't had him
Um,
in two of the new. They didn't. I don't think they have him for MKX or was it 11? One of them they didn't have him in.
okay. So always love me some Goro. Like I said, Ermac number one for sure. Um, after that, I don't remember if we saw Baraka yet. I thought we did in the
He's a
first
cameo
trailer.
character.
Cameo, yeah.
I don't know if he's a main
So
character, but I know he's a cameo character.
um, man, who else would I like to see? I don't know.
As much as she's not loved, I do like Scarlet, but because she was an MK11, I highly doubt they're gonna bring her back.
I think like since there's a level of surprise where they could like Rain, for example, right? Like I knew it was Rain. Well, I thought I knew it was Rain, but then you kind of but I think I'm excited to see some of that, right? Just some new reimagining of a character or two. Uh, but which ones? I wouldn't be able to tell you. I
I,
mean,
I will tell you one of my favorites that I hope is in the game that I haven't seen yet is Quan Chi. I don't know why I like him so much as a character. Like he's creepy, he's dark, but yeah, I
mhm,
love his blades attacks and his like throwing skeleton.
mhm. Like I think like your whole idea, like with Shao Kahn, like a reimagining of him being not
The
just the
Khan.
emperor. Yeah, like that's intriguing to me. I think that's really cool. Or
Well, I think NetherRealm confirmed that I think they said it already in their live stream. They just said that he is now called General Shao instead of Shao Kahn.
Yeah, like that to me is intriguing. Or like, you know, maybe Queen Sindel without like the way she is now, and maybe she has some different power. I don't know. Like, before she turns into a tyrant queen or whatever. Like stuff like that. I think I would like to see as little surprises.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Uh,
weird because if Shang Tsung isn't in the story, it makes me interested on the conception of Melina, because technically Melina was made in the flesh pits by Shang Tsung's magic, by Shao Kahn's orders to replicate Katana. But if Shang Tsung isn't in the story, how is Melina made?
mm-hmm,
Unless they're
mm-hmm,
gonna say that Sindel or the father has some kind of weird relations with the Tarkatan. If
mm-hmm.
so, I want to see that happen in the film because I want to know how that mouth works.
Damn. But yeah, I think like those little surprises. I think I'd probably be looking forward to most. Like, what can they alter differently? Like Liu Kang already, right? Like multiple elemental powers, right? I think those are the things that are pretty cool. If you're gonna do a set, do some more surprises like that.
so, so I want to bring the. Obviously, we don't know the full cast yet, so we're just
Mm-hmm.
making predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Out of what you see, who would be your main character if Ermac is not in the roster?
Cool. Well, based on what we know, like I said, I hate to do the easy one with Scorpion. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say Liu Kang, just because of the multi-power thing. I don't think I've ever really utilized Liu Kang to a mastery status. Hell, I don't think I've used anybody to a mastery status. But the fact that he has the elemental powers is cool, and I think I'd like to try to really explore and try to master that.
Technically, he's always had that power because he doesn't really have. I think they confirmed that the lightning is officially blue fire, even though it's still lightning.
Mm-hmm.
But he's always had the fire ability.
Well, the fire, yeah, but like the just the multicolor scheme, I think is just cool. No, I mean, yeah, I like Mortal Kombat 1. He had the one little fireball. I get it, but
I'm just saying, if
he
he
see
doesn't have
he's
the
he's got
bicycle kiss, I'm
he's
not
got
playing him.
there you go. I'm with you on that one.
Like that bicycle kick is iconic. It's been every
Oh,
single iteration of it.
100%.
It's just like Scorpion's like, get over here.
I was just about to say it doesn't get the credit like Scorpions get over here. Does not get credit, and it should. Should. It's on par with Hadouken.
Yes.
I agree.
But it is funny though, like even though like technically Liu Kang is like the main character,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at NetherRealm Studios logo, the person in that logo is Scorpion. And there's a reason why since NetherRealm Studio took over, Scorpion's combos have always been the best combos in the game. Because it's
They're
literally their
also the
favorite character.
easiest. They're also the easiest too. And that's why I said like I hate to say him, but he is such an easy player to get accustomed to.
Yeah, like the starter fighter that everybody like every training wheel person should get on.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, every fighting game has that. Like I said, it's no different than playing Ryu in Street Fighter, or just because of the color Ken or Akuma. Like yeah. I mean, it's no different than all the different. Well, now thankfully all the ninjas play differently, but back in like the 2, 3, 4 days, they all played pretty much the same, right? It's just a different color tunic.
I'm gonna be
So,
honest with you. I was hoping that they would meme it and have like a Paris map, so it'd be like ninjas in Paris.
oh jeez.
I feel like they had an opportunity and they didn't go for it, and I'm disappointed.
But you could create that yourself, good sir.
I'm just saying that there should have
So,
been something because I know Johnny Cage definitely would have made fun of it.
yeah. But yeah, that I think those are things I want to say. So yeah, go back to the main without knowing the cast. I'm just gonna be vanilla. I'm gonna check out Liu Kang.
Okay, I think for me, just based off of what I'm seeing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm either gonna go Raiden because it looks like his moveset is a little different based off of like the very little trailers we've seen. I've always liked Raiden's abilities. But if Raiden isn't it, then I might go Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung has always been a hard character to master.
But if you
But
mastered him, he's great defensively,
oh,
and
he's
he can just volley you in the air for a while.
oh yeah, he's very great character if you can learn how to master. But he's definitely one of the harder ones. It's like playing, and maybe not apples comparison, but it's almost like playing Zangief in Street Fighter. It's like very hard, but if you figure it out, fucking rock, man.
But I will these are what ifs because Johnny Cage is easily high up on that list.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I don't want to go too generic on that one. I want to test myself a little
Well,
bit off the bat.
yeah.
But if Stryker or Quan Chi is in there, those two take priority. Just because
I
I
don't know.
want to play a Stryker
Go,
with his little
I'll,
nightsticks.
yeah, it's like minus striker. Go with the super villains. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. If we're doing what ifs and playable minus or uh, mm, Cabal is always pretty cool. He had an array of moves. Mentioned him.
He also had that weird speed kick blitz
Yeah.
thingy.
Well, not only that, but he also had the speed where he just went off the screen and he like
And then
kept
right
you,
behind you.
and
Yeah.
then he did the hooks. Yeah. Oh yeah, his arsenal very good, very wicked.
But the
I
question
think on
is, are
top.
they going to do Cabal before he got burnt or Cabal after wears a mask?
All
Because
right.
basically, after depending on the variant, his moveset changes.
Yeah. Well, I want him with the mask if I'm, me personally. But yeah, I think outside of the ones we know, do you? Well, since you got to play a little bit, I don't know if they would have given you this
Ooh,
opportunity or spoil it. But
I'm sorry. I was thinking about two more characters. Havoc. I I feel like they haven't done it because they showed, you know, the Nether Realm. They showed Outworld and all that stuff. They haven't
mhm.
showed Chaos Realm, and Havoc is from Chaos Realm, and I think he'd be a really cool character to see in Mortal Kombat One.
So yeah, I definitely know I'm not familiar with all the characters. So I might see characters like, oh, that's a new character. Like, no, Steve, that was in MK whatever 789 or whatever. But I guess my question for you is, do you think we'll get any totally new characters?
Um, because it's MK1, I'm gonna say no, and it pains me to say that because they had really cool characters in MKX with Cassie Cage, uh, Jacqueline Briggs, Takeda, and the other guy. Uh, but just simply because of how they treated them, and seeing Aaron Black and all that stuff getting written off, I highly doubt that this game we're gonna see any new characters. I think it's gonna be a whole bunch of retro characters coming back, and maybe after MK2 or 3, maybe we'll see more new ones. But just because of the way they treated the other ones, no.
That's sad. Hopefully that's not the case because I would like to see at least a couple, but
But they also have like a huge lineup of characters from the olden days that haven't seen the light of day for almost 20 years.
which is also good. Plus, they're
Like,
having those. I know we mentioned cameo characters as the side characters, but with the DLC, they're having characters from other franchises being there. Aren't they doing what
I'm sorry, your mic cut
somebody
out.
else? Aren't they doing like Peacemaker and somebody else?
Oh yeah, they're doing Homelander, Peacemaker, and Omni Man,
Homelander.
which I'm
Okay, yeah,
looking forward to them because they're gonna be menaces in the game.
yeah.
Um,
Is it? Do we know if it's been confirmed that Peacemaker is being voiced by John Cena?
I mean, maybe they have. I haven't done research, but the fact that Arnold Schwartz and what's his name, Sylvester Stallone, they all did their own voicing for the game. I would assume they would do Johnson as well.
I mean, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan, but if he is, now that we're talking about it, just because it'd be funny.
But going back to characters, I'd love to see. Like these are old characters.
Uh-huh.
Draman would be one of them. Movado. Movado's basically like Cabal, but more.
I was gonna say that one. I think I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Hasuhao, Hsuhao. He's basically like the Asian communist version of Stryker.
Don't think I've seen that guy.
He was only in one game, and then he was never introduced again.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
I don't think I've seen
Havoc.
that one.
So I'm sorry, what were you saying about Peacemaker? Because your mic cut out, and I just kind of filled the gap for myself.
Oh, I'm just saying, even though I'm not the biggest John fan, that just for shits and giggles, I'd maybe try to main him.
Oh, dude, he would be a fun character because he would. I'm not sure if you ever played. Um, God, what's it? He's basically one of the Robins with the black suit because he uses a lot of guns and like grappling abilities, so he's gonna have a lot of gadgets to his playstyle. And I feel like he'd be pretty fun if you like that stuff.
Yeah, if he's versatile with like close and long range, like that sounds like it'd be fun. I think it'd just be fun just to hear his voice. I don't know, like like I said, I'm not the biggest fan, but like I think it'd be pretty comical.
Yeah, dude. All of the characters, like if these are done well, Homelander, Omni Man, and Peacemaker are just gonna be phenomenal characters to play. Because I'm not sure if you, well, you haven't. You already answered that. I don't know why I keep asking the question. But they've done DLC characters before with like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees,
hmm
the Xenomorph. They all those characters they did Terminator. They all have been done fantastically well with creating moveset for them, creating
hmm
dialogue, animation. So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah, I've never, unfortunately, like every time I saw those trailers and they released, I was like, as a fan, giddy, but I've never played any of those characters ever, which is kind of sad.
Well, if you really want to, literally MKX and 11 are sold for dirt cheap. Like I literally bought for the PS5 version because I had it for Xbox and PC beforehand. I bought both MKX and MK11 complete editions with all the characters for $15 for both games.
I'll keep my eye out.
Even if you don't want to play online, you can at least play through the story because there
Yeah,
is a campaign for both of them,
yeah,
and test out characters that way.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's dirt cheap. I could probably maybe do that, or at least one of them. Maybe the last one. I don't know. We'll see.
And depending if you get really lucky, they sometimes do a triple sale where it's Injustice 2, MKX, and MK11 Ultimate Editions all combined in one.
Jesus.
That's the one I got. That's for $15, so I'm happy with my purchase.
Well, I mean, shit. Yeah, 3 fucking complete games with all DLC. Shaw.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward
yeah,
to it.
look.
Do you have any speculate? I know we kind of brush up on the story, but do you have any speculations on what the story mode might be like?
No, no. I mean, I kind of answered that a little bit earlier. What I'd like to see and be satisfied with is, like I said, maybe the choose your whole adventure thing. Like, I want to make this guy really person really bad, or vice versa. I think that would be pretty cool. I think from a player standpoint, I think that'd be pretty cool and fun, and
So,
it creates replay value.
besides narrative, how do you think it's going to play? Do you think it's going to play like a Conquest Shaolin Monk style, or do you think it's going to be like
Oh, okay.
cutscene, single fight like it's been for MKX and 11?
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a mixture. I think it's gonna be Conquest. Well, I mean, you kind of get the other one with Conquest, so I'm gonna go with Conquest, and I'm kind of hoping that it is that way because it that's the fun one.
Yeah, because so far the way NetherRealm's done their story has always been cutscene, single fight, cutscene all the way through, and
hmm
it'd be nice to see like a little change up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, even if it's not super long, especially if you're doing, like I said, you're having choose your own adventure, then it doesn't have to be long, and it shouldn't be long. But you're gonna keep replaying it multiple times on the same characters, so that's what I'm saying. A mixture of both, right? Like you want to have a little bit of adventure, a little bit of navigation, but you want to see those cutscenes. You want to kind of get in and out of fights very quick. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking of a hybrid.
Oh, cool. Dude, August is coming up so soon. I mean, obviously we're still a month away from the beta, but like that flies by quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see more characters, man. Because they said in the live stream that they just had today that we're gonna see, I think, something in 2 weeks about more fatalities, characters, and all that stuff. So I'm pretty giddy about it, and I can't wait for that statue, man. That Liu King statue. It's cool looking, man.
Speaking of statues, going off topic, but I never really flaunted my FF16 one.
You want to go bring it here and chop off the wings of Phoenix?
Go off just like in the game. Oh, spoiler alerts! So it's I expected it to be bigger.
That's what she said.
Uh, yeah, I know that is what she said.
Oh
Every
wait, so that's
single
is that made out of plastic? And I thought it was gonna be made out of like stone or something.
no, and that's kind of the letdown. It's very yeah plasticky.
Like I was expecting like a Ragnarok statue in the back, kind of like.
Yeah, no, it's no Ragnaros is far better than this. But I will say this: the detail is pretty still good. I like the color
It's very vibrant, especially
translucent.
like the multicolor on the Phoenix Wings.
Yeah, like I kind of dig that. So, but it's very kind of little chimsy.
Oh no, I mean it's still a cool piece to have.
Oh no, I'm not totally shitting on it, but yeah. Yeah, the Phoenix definitely makes it. I don't know about you if you felt this way, but there's so many times that I just got Godzilla vibes like all the fucking time.
Well, yes, but I like that.
You like that?
I
I mean, I'm
love
not.
having like colossal kaiju battles. I've always been a fan of that. I know it turns a lot of people off, but I like
Mhm.
kaiju battles, and that's what I got here.
Yeah, I mean, but like it was like I got the vibes, but it was also kind of like Oppo Godzilla because usually Godzilla not all the time, but he's usually kind of like the bigger one. But Ifrit was kind of like the runt icon, like he was always smaller. So yeah,
If it might have been whatever that stone icon
Titan.
was, he's the biggest out of all of them.
Yeah,
But
by far.
but they showed that it's a joke here. Size doesn't always matter because Ifrit packed a lot of firepower, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did, but I think that's also because you have to give the hero,
Well,
you know.
technically, he's the villain. Clive doesn't realize that he's the villain. He's the one that basically did his own chain of events.
Well, in the beginning, now we're talking about spoilers. In the beginning, but then he learned he wasn't or isn't really technically.
He still has Ifrit in him.
I mean, well, the thing was like it was being not really controlled, but persuaded by Ultima from the get. Like his whole point was for them not to merge to gel because that was the only way they were going to succeed. And by the way, I didn't like that. By the way, like I thought that shit was dumb as shit.
Well, not only that, but he is basically the ultimate cheater in the Final Fantasy world because not only that, he can claim all the icon
Yeah,
powers.
yeah, and he had to in order to defeat Ultima
Yeah. So
because the whole
basically,
now we're going to spoilers, but it's the end of the podcast. So hey, well,
we're going into everything here. But basically, it defeats the purpose of having dominance. Like, they try to play dominance as being this force, and then Clive's like, yeah, look at me, I get all of them.
yeah, and I think that's where they did a poor job with like um storytelling, I guess, like and selling that because in the end with Ultima, there were more than one, right? There was pretty much one icon. So in a sense, Clive was the strength of 8 Ultima, or what have you, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, it was a little weird.
Because
Like
how I would have did it was, basically in the start of the game, they built it up like Clive was accidentally collecting all the dominance, and
mhm.
at the end, that's what the dominance would give Clive the blessing, and that's how he gets their powers. But basically, he just straight up jacks it from them.
Well, not entirely, and that's what I'm saying. That, like in the beginning part, like I wouldn't even say he really learned his role, but like there was like a point where it's like he was being not controlled by Ultima, but like that was part of Ultima's plan was like for him to get every icon power, so then Ultima has all the icon powers, and in a sense, when they finally got to not Union, what was the damn place called at the end? I forgot. But he got him to where he needed to, like I don't know, somewhat siphon it. Like I said, there's kind of a little bit of, but uh,
Yeah.
whatever.
Like I said, it's like one of those like Game of Thrones moments. Like, it shouldn't have been Arya. All the other dominants should have been grouping up to fight that person, and they didn't. It was more of just Clive stealing and then Boom, done.
Yeah, and I think that's the narrative. But like,
So
but the one
they
thing
literally pulled the Game of Thrones then.
but the thing is, like, it was Ultima pulling the strings all the time, right? Kind of, I don't know what's a good comparison, but like, he fucked with Benedicta's mind. He fucked with Kupka's mind. He used every single one of them to get what he wanted. Even Barnabas, like he used every single icon.
Hmm.
So, like those were the lines that you had to kind of connect a little bit.
Oh,
But
I mean, I understand it. I'm just saying it's like, like a Game of Thrones where you understand why it happened the way it did, but
uh
you also probably inserted your own self opinion on how it should have ended, and that's where it screws up.
yeah, I mean, you never were gonna get all the icons to collectively uh understand that they were under Ultima's control to then band together. Like that's like the really happy ending. Come on, and that's why I think you kind of adopt the Game of Thrones approach, right? But um, but yeah, it was a little like there was definitely a lack of to why Clive,
Yeah. Like,
right? Like that's where they kind of even right now, like why, right?
so well, if we're piecing together pieces here,
Mm-hmm,
in the beginning of the game, and I can say this because it's literally in the demo.
mm-hmm,
The king, and he's talking about the family, how the dominance always stay in the bloodline and all that stuff.
mm-hmm.
He literally has most of the bloodlines of all the people connected. All the people that have icons on them, he literally is connected to all of them through some kind of blood or familiar trait, and because of that, he is like the center hub for connections for all of them, and I think that's why he's able to control all these icons because he has some relation with them in some format. Like Joshua was his brother, Phoenix, Jill, brother, still the mother-in-law, still connected. The father has other family people that were connected as well through either servants like Sid and all that stuff. They were all connected.
Mm, I don't know. I think that's a stretch. I think that's a stretch.
I don't know. There was always some familiar ties there.
There was for to your point. There was for a few of them, but definitely not all.
I mean, you never know. There might have been
Definitely not
some
all.
like
Well, I
Jamie and
mean,
Cersei tower
well, I
banging.
mean, to that point, they kind of uh, initially implied that, but then you learn that, like, okay, Jill and Clive and Joshua, they're not real brothers and sisters. Jill was given to Clive's pretty much house as like collateral, basically. I mean, once again, Game of Thrones, right? She was given from the other king, so that way that kingdom doesn't invade them and fucking go at war.
But
So
just like
like
how all
they
Middle East or Middle Earth or Middle Age kingdoms that usually
go from Middle Eastern to Middle Earth to middle.
I'm going through all of them, man.
You go through all of
But
them.
usually, all the major houses were somehow connected at one point or another through familiar ties that branched off, and that's
Right,
how they got their sub houses.
it's similar to like the Starks in Game of Thrones. Like I get what you're saying, but like I was taking it to more like a blood connection. It's not really a blood connection, but I get what you're saying. But
They should do an ancestry thing in Final Fantasy.
yeah. Well, like so like the other thing that to me was kind of a disappointment. Mid isn't Sid's biological daughter. She was adopted. Which I was like, oh man, I was kind of hoping she was really blood, but I mean, and it made sense a little bit because Sid was obviously gay, and like it's like, okay, wait, if he's gay, then how did she come? But once again, found out he was. But I was a little disappointed in that because I thought that would have been cool, but it made because I was thinking or I'm sorry, if she's really his daughter, then who the fuck's the mom? I was like, could have it been Benedicta, and they just didn't really convey that. Like I was, they had things could have tied together even more, right? But because obviously Benedicta was um, so yeah, it's you know, there's some good things, but it was still a fun game.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love how you said you want to spoil that thing. We just got right into
Yeah,
the
no, we
meat and
just
potatoes of it.
Well, yeah, we said a lot, but there's still a lot we didn't.
I know. But since we got to this point, do you want to wrap it up? We actually went a lot longer than I thought we did, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I could wrap it up. As always, thank everybody for watching, and if you have any.
For people that didn't understand what he said and you can't read lips, he said, "Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, we always appreciate any comments that you leave, and if you agree or disagree with what we say."
Exactly. And then some. And don't forget to follow us on Threads.
Threads, the new Twitter. But like we say every single time, make sure to follow us on Twitter or any other social media you're choosing, just to keep up to date. We mostly go live 6 p.m. Thursday every week, unless something changes, but that's usually the time. But if not, Twitter's the way to go, or Threads to keep updated. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.